Hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode. Starting
We're
over.
off to a good start.
Take two. Take two.
Yeah, I'm not editing any of this out because I hate editing too. So,
Yeah.
hello, and welcome to another fantastic episode of Anarchy Among Friends Roundtable discussion. Before we get started, let me remind you that we are covered by the BIPCOT No Government License, which allows for the reuse and distribution of this podcast by anyone and everyone except for governments and the bludgies thereof. You can learn more about that at bipcot.org. That is BIPCOT.org. This is episode 72, which we haven't named yet because, again, we're not doing it.
I thought it was going to be nipples for all.
Nipples for all?
Yeah.
Well, like I was thinking, like because we got the brokini one and we got the free the nipple one, and there's also an article at the very end that we're going to talk about bumpy roads in Montreal turning people on.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like brokinis and bumpy roads, or so I don't know. I don't know.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. We're professionals like that.
We'll just call it non-bigoted episode 72.
Bigot-free nipple zone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Episode 72 and the adventures of Dan and the Soilet. Yeah, Dan, because Dan wasn't on the last episode, so it's been like a month since he's been on.
Yep.
But you guys, for our listeners, don't blame him. He's been eyebrow deep in new pussy this whole time.
Lies, I'm just in the PNW, that's all.
Yeah. So
The pink new wetness.
that's right.
It's a very moist area of the country.
Very.
It is. We were just talking about precipitation levels.
Lots of big trees.
It's been wet here every day.
Giggity.
Giggity.
Quote Lil Wayne, the rain on my head, call that brainstorming.
Lots of active volcanoes too. Don't forget about those.
Yeah, it's been erupting pretty much every day here.
Yeah.
Oh, that salmon run, huh?
Mount Rainier.
Oh.
Yeah. We're perverted.
It's beautiful though. You
motherfucker.
can see the shit right when you're driving down the street. It's like huge. It looks like unreal.
Yeah. That's like living near Mount Hood too. That's kind of where I grew up. You
Yeah.
could see you could always see Mount Hood on the horizon.
Mount Hood, another sexual innuendo.
I was gonna say he's
Yeah.
seen a lot of Mount Hood.
Yeah.
Up close and personal.
Yep.
Yeah. He's been erupting Mount Hood.
It has been rather engorged lately.
Right. His magma chamber's getting empty.
Holy shit. All right, I'm blushing now.
Geography innuendo. Because we're not fucking nerds or anything.
Yeah, hold on. Let me push up my glasses.
Yeah.
Oh, God, we're terrible people.
Well, I missed you
No,
guys. over the
No,
past
we're
month, so-
awesome people. We
Yeah.
missed you too. It was weird.
I didn't miss you.
But
You son of a bitch.
I mean, he didn't miss you.
we missed you, but our aim's getting better. Wah, wah, wah. Yeah. Yeah.
Getting ready for Beta to take those guns. Gotta, get that aim on point.
Yeah. No shit. Send bachelors come heavily armed.
Hashtag eat a dick, Francis.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm gonna spell it out for you.
Mhm. Yeah.
I'm proud of that meme. I'm very proud of that meme. The Deadpool.
I don't
Oh,
think
I'm
I
gonna
saw it.
fucking spell it out for you. That one. Yeah. 'cause
Yeah, my Boogaloo
You know,
Deadpool.
Rourke. I mean, like, his name's literally it's Francis, and that's the bad guy's
Francis,
name
yeah.
in Deadpool. So it works
Is his
out
name
where
really Francis?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
it's
God.
Robert
Yeah,
Francis
so-
O'Rourke.
So when Deadpool spells out Francis with the dead bodies of all of his little security guys,
Yep.
they made a meme out of that.
Yeah, hang on. I'll throw it in the Telegram here for you, Dan.
That's
so you
gold.
Can see it.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's good
Nice.
shit.
Fucking friends.
Yeah, I didn't see the new Deadpool. Or the newest one, should I say.
Well, that's from the first Deadpool. But
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
first one.
I went and saw
"What's
that one
my
in the theater
name?"
by myself.
So you haven't seen the third one? Is
There's a third one?
it third or second? Are they
The second one.
Second one.
God.
I haven't
Okay.
seen the second one yet either. Yeah.
Oh, there wasn't a third one. They just did like a family friendly version of the second one and released it at
Yeah.
Christmas.
Once Upon a
Oh, really?
Once Upon a Deadpool.
Yeah.
That's like the
There we
only
go.
like comic book movie that I ever went and saw in the theater.
Really?
Yeah, because I'm not like I don't know. I'm not into
Oh.
that kind of thing.
I'm
Kevin
a
and I
pretty big
just-
nerd. I went and saw them all.
Kevin and I just went and watched that last night. We went and saw that new Brad Pitt film, Ad Astra. You know, and
I didn't even hear about that.
No idea.
oh well,
Yeah, I don't know. I
It's
don't pay attention
interesting.
much. I don't pay much attention to Hollywood. The only thing I do want to see is the new Joker movie. But
yeah.
Is that the one
I'm just
Jared,
hoping
with
that-
Jared Leto?
no, it's the one with Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah,
yeah,
that
I'm
one's
just
gonna be
hoping-
so fucking good.
Yeah,
It depends, because the problem is that Joker has multiple origin stories intentionally. Like
Mhm.
he goes through over the course of the comic books and has like 4 or 5 completely different origins that he tells people.
Yeah.
And then when somebody calls him out on it and is like, "But didn't you just say that your original, like the way you wound up this way is because of this?" And he was like, "Well, you know, if I have to have a past, I would prefer it be multiple choice."
Right.
Because that's
well, he's
Joker.
the Joker. Yep,
Yeah,
exactly.
that's Joker. Like, none of it makes sense. That's his point. So if you give him a definitive canonical origin story now, you've ruined a lot of that mystique and
Right.
craziness. You know, like that was the whole point of him always having custom made clothes with no tags and because there's just no way to know where he came from or anything. All of a sudden he's just there and
Mhm.
crazy.
I think Joaquin Phoenix is a fantastic casting call.
Yeah, totally. Well, he's kind of screwy anyway because I mean he was there when his brother died of a heroin overdose.
Yeah.
In
River
the Viper
Phoenix.
room. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I remember River Phoenix.
Yep.
Wasn't he the young Indiana Jones at the beginning of The
Yep.
Last Crusade?
Yeah, he was in Stand By Me too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah, he was. You're right. Yeah.
That's a hard
forgot about
movie.
that.
That's a hard movie to watch. Like,
Yeah,
like
man.
It
the
is.
first time you see it, it's like, oh fuck, all right, you know. But like, once you know the story, like you can't really watch it again.
Yeah.
Gets you right in
Like-
the feels.
The same with My Girl.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was just gonna say My
Mhm.
Girl's the same way. I saw it once and I can't watch it again because it's like emotional rape at the end.
Yeah, right. Seriously.
So
I did not consent to these feelings.
exactly.
There needs to be a
Exactly.
trigger warning. We need a trigger warning.
We all need to move to Seattle and dye our hair pink.
Yep.
Which
We
is
can
funny
have-
you should say that because my hair, I don't know if you can tell, is actually dyed it was supposed to be red and it came out like purple.
Yeah, for the
But
mayhem.
your devil costume was, you
Yeah.
know,
that was
on
pretty.
point.
That was pretty on point. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it was cool. The best part about that is after Hellfire Revival was on stage, and they're a decently well-known psychobilly band down in Nashville. They came up for it, and their symbol is like a demon that looks just like that. So
Oh.
like I got to hang out with them after the show and stuff and like take pictures with them and things because they're like, that's freaking sweet. It's like our like logo after we were done with the show was like, hey, how you doing?
yeah.
That's
Nice.
awesome. Like their
And
mascot and shit.
Yeah, and I found Jesus, which was cool. And we did
Born
a selfie
again?
together.
Yeah.
Well, it was not, and I kept saying because I was all dressed as a devil, so I kept saying like, it's nice to see family again. Like I don't really get to see him very often since like, it's been a couple millennia since Dad like kicked me out. And,
Yeah.
Now I got Stephen Lynch, Craig Christ going in my head.
Rig.
All right. So, what's our first article, Jason? We haven't
I don't
given you a segue yet, huh?
I don't know, not really. But since we're talking about Jokers, I don't know. It's not really.
Let's run with it.
That's not really a good segue, but The Army says the student loan crisis, not Middle East wars, helped it exceed recruiting goals this year.
Well, I mean,
Surprise, surprise.
surprise,
Let's
surprise.
see.
You promise kids who don't feel like they have much of a future. You promise them an enlistment bonus and 3 squares a day and free medical care and
That's what
I mean,
it's one of those.
and a college degree and
It's one of those you get them one way or another. Like
Yeah.
you do like student loans and guaranteed loans and all these grants and stuff. And it drives kids to school, and the schools are like, "Oh, all this free money, we should raise our prices."
Yep.
yeah.
Right? And again, we there you can make an argument about surge pricing and crisis pricing and all that good stuff, and having the higher cost being a choice limiter so it's not overrun and all that other stuff. But the schools raise the prices so it costs more to go to school, and then the college and then the Army's like, well, you can't afford to go to college. Oh, look, we have a GI program where
Yep.
we'll pay for you to go to school.
Yep.
Like one way or another.
Oh, hey.
Well, a lot of it
imagine
has
that.
to do with
Whoever.
the economic draft as well. You know what I mean?
And we did talk about that before about how the improving Trump economy was limiting the number of people that went into the military.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Yeah, that was one of the factors. But
Now, didn't he just sign a bill to excuse like college loans for disabled veterans or something like that?
yes.
Yeah.
Uh,
That's a nice little bit of populism and pandering.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, of course.
Socialism. All right.
too bad I don't have any student loans.
I know. Mine are all paid off already, so...
Yeah. Army leadership gathered Tuesday to announce that they surpassed the recruiting goal for 2019, signing up more than 68,000 active duty soldiers before the end of the fiscal year. But the long wars in the Middle East weren't exactly part of the sales pitch. Based on the experience visiting 30 to 40 recruiting stations this year, the eventual outcomes of the wars abroad are, quote, not really part of the discussion between potential soldiers and their recruiters.
Well,
Major
yeah,
General-
because they don't have to be, because the kids that they're recruiting weren't even born yet when this war started. It's all they've ever known.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not only that, but a lot of them were, grew up on the internet, so it's like they have information at their disposal, like showing them that these wars aren't like credible and they're not for the reasons that they tell them.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'll be great, kid. Trust me, you'll be a hero. It'll be just like Call of Duty. Let me go ahead and take you to Red Lobster and let's get this paperwork signed.
Yep.
Yeah.
Major General
You can
Frank,
lose a leg and be a hero.
Yeah, Major General Frank Muth, head of Army Recruiting Command, told the reporters at the Pentagon Tuesday, quote, one of the national crises right here is student loans. So $31,000 is about the average, Muth said. You can get out of the Army after 4 years, 100% paid for the state college anywhere in the United States.
Well, but you have to contribute to that. They take, your contribution out of your first years of paychecks or whatever.
Yeah. A significant part of the recruitment push has been showing that the Army serves as the pathway to America's middle class, with several service leaders noting that their children use GI benefits and ROTC scholarships. Quote, I have 3 kids serving. A lot of us have kids serving. Army Chief of Staff General James McConneville said, and the reason is because we see it as a pathway to success. As it stands,
Yeah. That's a word.
yeah. As it stands, Army leaders anticipate exceeding this year's desired active duty in strength of 478,000 troops, landing in the range of 481,000 to 483,000 soldiers, thanks to solid retention rates. But new soldiers make up the bulk of the gains.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
that's, I
and
mean, like,
it's-
it's the same thing as like when, anytime the government gets involved in shit like that, like, student loans or, healthcare, whatever, it's always the cost always skyrockets.
it does.
Let's see the
Yep.
They create desperation and then they prey on desperation. It's a never-ending fucking cycle.
yeah.
Yep.
So the self-perpetuating cycle of government-caused poverty is the hardest one to break.
Yeah,
Yeah.
further down in the article, like literally buried one of the last paragraphs in the article, it says the low unemployment rate and booming economy make recruiting difficult, especially when compared to past recruiting pushes during the Iraq and Afghanistan's wars that lined up closer to the major global recession.
Hmm.
Yeah, because that wasn't engineered or anything.
Oh, totally not.
Yeah, gee, it's almost like when people don't have any money and you're going, hey, we'll give you this money. All you have to do is give me 4 to 6 years of your life.
It's time
And
to
do
right to
that.
every fucking thing
Yeah.
I say.
Here's three hots in a cot. All you gotta do is be my slave.
Yep.
And
Yep.
possibly die and suffer severe psychological damage, and
Yeah.
but
Right.
we'll talk about that later. That's not.
And if
important.
you
We'll
don't
break your
die,
spirit
Yeah.
and build you back
Yeah.
up. It's all good.
We'll pump
And
you full of painkillers, and here's some fentanyl, and
Yep.
here's a bucket to go beg for change on the street.
Yeah.
And then
And
when
we're
you're
going
no
to
longer of
promise
any
to
use
take
to
care
you.
of you. Yeah. And we're going to promise to take care of you if anything happens. But you're going to have to fight your ass off for that.
Yep.
So, because we just won't give a
Yeah.
fuck about you anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Once they're no
Thrown away
longer of
like
any
a
use
used
to the
friggin'
government,
tissue.
it's like they just throw you in the fucking trash.
Yep.
Yep, you're garbage. Once you're not of use to them anymore, you're just garbage. They
Well, actually,
just throw you aside.
Yep.
It's worse than fucking garbage because it's like now it's like anybody that's a former vet. I mean, a former enlisted member or whatever. It's that has actual training on how to kill people. That was given to them by the government.
They're all on
listed
government
as a
watch
fucking,
lists.
Yeah,
now.
they're the fucking all terrorists now.
Yeah.
Because they're the biggest threat to their
Yep.
power because it's like they actually are skilled in combat and know guerrilla warfare tactics and all
And
that
they know we're
fun
full
shit.
of bullshit.
Mhm.
Yeah,
They have
and
firsthand experience. They know we're full of bullshit now.
well,
Mhm.
and don't forget what they did at Standing Rock when all of those vets showed up, and immediately the police said, "Oh,
Yep.
well, we have reports that they're trying to manipulate veterans with PTSD into committing these acts of violence." And these poor they don't actually know what they're doing. They're being manipulated. It's not like they're actually standing up to corruption or anything. They just
Right.
they've been misled, and those poor people. And that's exactly what'll happen come the Boogaloo. Is any vet that participates is going to be labeled as somebody with just severe PTSD, and they don't know what they're
Yep.
doing, and so
Well,
you can't blame them. And,
According to
Those red flag laws are like almost specifically created to target people of that nature because it's like you can
Yep.
label a vet with PTSD and be like, oh well, he needs to be fucking disarmed because he's a threat,
yeah,
Yeah.
according
or she
to,
or whatever.
According to the latest numbers on it, there are roughly or just over 39,000 homeless veterans worldwide or nationwide.
Huh.
So
Yeah.
almost 40,000 homeless veterans.
Wow.
yeah, when I was
Yes.
homeless, almost every single guy that I knew that was down in the little homeless camp was a vet. Almost every
Wow.
single one of them.
Yeah.
It's fucking sad, man.
Mm-hmm.
I don't find it shocking though, and it's sad that I don't
Yeah.
find it shocking.
And like, did you guys see that article about the Vietnam vet in the VA care facility? Outside Atlanta. I think it was outside Atlanta, but
Oh yeah, the
like
Atlanta
somebody-
VA is a
somebody
big steaming pile of
his-
shit.
like his daughter or niece or somebody like that came in to visit him, and the guy was absolutely covered in ants.
Wow.
Like absolutely covered in ants, and they showed like the bite marks and whatnot. And the people that ran the facility, they were just transferred.
That's what they did when the whole scandal erupted with the lost paperwork and fucking all that shit.
Oh, they did actually fire the people here at the Toma VA who accidentally infected a bunch of people with unsanitized medical equipment with HIV.
Oh wow.
Jesus.
That was just a few years ago, and Toma's only about 45 minutes away from me. It's the biggest local VA. I got a lot of friends that work there. From what I heard, I guess the dental people who were involved in it were actually fired because the public outcry was bad enough once it came out. But the Army had known that had happened for an extended period of time and had done literally nothing to them at all about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's like
until it came out.
It's like the rape cases that the Army just like turns a fucking blind eye to too.
Yeah.
Yep, all the time, especially young female recruits, alone with recruiters. They take full advantage of it constantly. It's a constant thing. And the army just slaps them on the wrist, says, "Hey, don't do that again," and then moves on, and nothing ever happens.
Like, I'm not even in the military, and I've heard derogatory terms about them,
Yeah.
which I'm not going to go into. But yeah, but since we're on this subject, this is the article Dan really wanted to get to. Democratic presidential candidate Marianne Williamson wants a national mandatory service for people age 18 to 26 to combat climate change.
Because as we all know, the government is so great in all its various offices with protecting the environment.
Like, how many?
They said
the
word combat. It's combat. So,
but what's the biggest?
How many years in a row has the U.S. military been found to be the world's #1 polluter?
Well, yeah, I mean, dropping fucking bombs isn't exactly good for the environment.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
And shut up and wave your flag.
Yeah.
Yeah. You stand for that anthem. You make sure you take your hat off and stand up for that super special song.
What I don't get is, okay, let's assume that anthropogenic climate change is an actual fucking thing. All right, it's a matter of some debate. Let's just assume it's a thing. How is mandatory minimum service going to fix it?
Yeah, remember,
military. The idea here.
Military vehicles measure their gas mileage in not as gas mileage, it's gallons per hour.
Mm-hmm. Right.
There's a reason that it's measured in gallons per hour, because you don't truly get a mile out of a gallon of fuel. And contrary to popular belief, most of those vehicles, in fact, use regular gasoline. They are not diesel.
Right.
Yeah.
Like M1 Abrams, not diesel, man. That's a turbine engine. That's burning gasoline or kerosene.
So isn't it gallons per mile, not gallons per hour?
Yeah, well, it's gallons per hour is what it gets measured in general, because the vehicles sit idling so much.
Oh, right.
But then they change it to gallons per mile or whatever. That once
it's like having like a city mileage and a highway mileage.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Because the C-130 doesn't burn up a lot of fuel, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, it's incredibly clean burning.
At a president...
It runs off biodiesel.
Yeah, it's great.
It's full of hopes and dreams.
Yep.
No, it's powered purely by the singing voices of the people who sing along to the national anthem.
That's what it is. Yeah. When you wave the flag, the wind blows, the wind lifts the plane in the air.
Yep.
Yeah, right. Sikorskis and flying bananas and stuff. They're all like that. You know, the giant flying turds. They're
every time you stand and sing, a C-130 gets its wings.
Should make a T-shirt out of that.
Yeah.
All right, at a presidential climate change forum on Thursday, author and Democratic presidential hopeful Marianne Williamson floated the idea of a national mandatory year of service for young adults to tackle climate change. Quote, "I would like to ask your opinion. I think during the, quote, season of repair," whatever the hell that is, we should have a mandatory national service 1 year for people between 18 and 26, because we need you. We need to fix this climate. We need to fix this country.
Uncle Sam needs you. Oh, we've come full circle.
Well, this is the same fellow white person that led a prayer apologizing for white people owning slaves.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This woman's fucking ridiculous. She speaks like a cult leader, too. It's like, she's insane. But, the whole mandatory service thing reminds me of, like, the IDF. You know what I mean? Because it's like, as soon as, like, it's mandatory service. As soon as you're 18, you have to serve in the IDF.
Oh, and and I think I've brought this up on the show before, but if you really want to see how dangerous mandatory service is, look at Finland. If you talk to people from Finland who did the mandatory service in the military there, and you ask them why they think it's a good thing, every single one of them will answer in exactly the same way, almost the exact same words. And the answer will be, because I've asked 4 of them, 4 different ones who didn't know each other, and they all answered the same thing. So I remember it very well. Well, you see, when you have when everybody has to go, then you have all these people together with all these different backgrounds, and so when you have to solve problems, everybody's coming at it from different backgrounds, and so you come up with a better solution. And they will all say that almost verbatim.
So it's like they're part of a board.
They're and completely brainwashed on it. That's the answer. That's the official military line. If you actually go and you look at the Finnish military documents and stuff, and what they say, that's their explanation for why it's a good idea, almost verbatim in that book, and that's what every single one of them says, without even missing a beat. It's a pre-programmed response.
Just hold on. This is gonna get good. All right, the Climate Forum was hosted by MSNBC and Georgetown University Institute of Politics and Public Service, giving college students opportunity to ask candidates questions. This is not the first time Williamson has mentioned national service for young people. Her campaign website includes an outline of a program that would, quote, be a way that every American citizen spends 1 year of their youth in service to the repair of our nation. She lists service projects including helping in small businesses, schools, hospitals, the military, the Peace Corps, and work on sustainability and, quote, to combat the climate crisis. The paid service she details on her website, however, appears to be voluntary. Williamson's administration would start a program where young adults, quote, can perform 1 year of national service. Well, this is the best part. She said at the Climate Forum that Americans need to come together in a, quote, World War II mass mobilization.
It's like when Tim Geithner said that fucking taxation is voluntary.
Oh, yeah, hold on. She later added, quote, during World War II, it wasn't Democrats versus Republicans, left versus right. We were all Americans, and we are going to mobilize.
It was left versus left, really, in World War II. I mean, if you know anything about the war.
Yep.
What? So you're voluntold. That's what it is. It's voluntold.
It's voluntold. And if you don't, you're going to go into a concentration camp.
You go to Gulag.
Oh, my goodness.
So it's like she wants like a military occupation of the United States for the good of America.
Well, it's like, I don't know if you guys have ever learned about like the Great Depression. There was a government program called the CCC, Civilian Conservation Corps. And basically what it was is it was a government-controlled community service program, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where these people, they would go like pick up trash and clean the roads and repair bridges and cut shrubs along the highway and all this other like super duper like basic stuff that people weren't doing because, well, the government really couldn't, the local governments couldn't afford it.
Mm-hmm.
It's that on steroids. But
Wow.
then you also throw in a little bit of militarization. So it's like brown coat, the brown shirt civilian corps or something.
Yep.
Is she gonna start doing the Mussolini, the nice, smiling and arms crossed and gesticulating?
I get this image in my head of like Battlestar Galactica, where they're like citizen and they have those, like everybody has a place in this government order and they're all called citizen, and you know what I'm talking about? Like
so say we all.
Starship Troopers.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
I want to have babies.
I'm doing my part.
I'm a little high, so I'm getting things mixed up.
I'm doing my part. I picture Princess Diana with a Hitler mustache. The princess wave is like, I don't know, has a hammer in one hand and a sickle in the other.
Right.
Stroking the Stalin stash.
Mm-hmm.
And every girl has that haircut that Kate Blanchett had in Kingdom of the Crystal Skull. They all have the same fucking like commie haircut.
That's a bad haircut.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's efficient. It's efficient.
Yeah.
So,
it's utilitarian,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and And that's the thing is that she seems to not understand, too. Not only ignoring the fact that the government is a horrendous polluter and also so ridiculously inefficient that their inefficiencies alone would negate any possible benefit of any of these programs. But on top of that, the only way that works is to make everything super uniform, to make everybody the same, to do this whole culty thing that you see in all major government services.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what you're going to see here. I mean, it's...
And how do people believe that the government can ever do anything efficiently? I just don't understand. Look, listen to this.
Well, their track record shows they do the exact opposite.
I know. That's what I was going to say. Listen to this. In the last year, right? Or in the year ending in 2007 or whatever, the Ontario, Canada government lost $42 million selling weed.
Well, I mean,
they lost
money
weed.
Selling.
All right,
weed.
okay.
Yeah.
Like,
just look at a GAO
report.
report. Just look at a GAO report if you want to see government efficiency.
Hold
Look
on,
at the GAO itself.
I'm on her website. I'm on her website, reading about her service thing. Quote, the service rendered would be helpful to the institution served, yes, but more importantly, it would be good to the psychological well-being of our country.
Okay.
It would remind all of us that we have a stake in America, and what happens here is bigger than any one individual's gratification or success.
It would help reinforcement.
It would help create a sense of responsibility to the country and to the world that should accompany every person's growth into adulthood.
Well, to see, they're also
strive
to
be good communist man, the new communist man.
Yeah, well, I mean,
do your part, comrade.
Yeah, I mean, they're priming the pump too, though. I mean, when you think about it, because they have all these kids going on strike out of school, and like they're brainwashing them and believe that this is like, the whole climate change thing is a actual consensus reality.
Well, yeah, they don't have control of them when they get out of public school, so they want to now seize control of the first year or two of adult life, so they can frame what kids think adult life is supposed to be.
Yeah, they want to have a pipeline.
Yep.
Yep. It's because that doesn't sound at all like Hitler Youth or anything.
No, not at all.
Okay. Provide opportunities to participants so that they can serve locally or travel to other parts of the country and can be exposed to areas they have not previously seen. Provide an array of opportunities so that they can serve in fields such as environmental repair, healthcare, education, social services, law, and small business. Provide remuneration for participants in the form of housing, basic costs, transportation, and financial support for higher education.
And I would be so pissed off. Can I just tell you guys, Mike is 17. You guys already know what his plans are. Mm-hmm. He's already started on his plans for his adult life. If they fucking interrupted that for a year and forced him into this bullshit program, I would be so pissed off. You can't just seize a year of someone's life capriciously like that. Kids are just getting started. They have plans, things they want to do with their life, and you're going to interrupt that?
Sure, they can. They want to arrest their development even further.
Yeah, it's not going to benefit them.
How many times throughout high school do you always get asked, well, what do you want to do after high school? What do you want to go to college? What do you want to be? Blah, blah, blah. And it's hammered into you that you need to make these decisions because pretty soon you're going to have to start working on them very actively. Yep. And now they're going, okay, well, how we've been doing that for generations? We're going to go ahead and just say, no. You can think about what you want to do, but you got to do what we want you to do first.
Right.
And then you can do what you want to do.
But this line, again, it would remind all of us that we have a stake in America and that what happens here is bigger than any one individual's gratification or success.
It's fucking ridiculous. Those words.
Fuck you.
Yeah,
fuck
that
you.
is the most communist. It's fascist, is what it is. That is
you cannot get more collective than that.
Words. Yeah,
no,
and that's what it is. It's
pure unadulterated collectivism.
Yeah, we have to come together for the good of everyone. Again, these are the themes that you see again and again. You saw it in socialism. You saw it in fascism. You saw it in Nazism. You see it over and over again, where you sacrifice yourself for the collective good.
Yeah,
And
not,
whatever
right.
the government says is the
To
collective
be
good is the
determined by
collective
me
good.
and my cronies.
not
You
only
guys
that, but
don't
like,
get a say in
but
what's
like,
good
it
for
will
the
remind
collective.
us that we have a stake in America. America is founded on individual gratification and success.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
right.
That was the whole
The-
point of this country being founded, was individualism.
The founding
So,
documents of this country. I hate those pieces of paper. Well, I don't hate the piece of paper.
yeah.
They're worthless pieces
Well, I
of
mean,
paper,
I
in
just
my
don't
opinion.
believe in it anymore.
But
You know, I
the
don't believe
pieces
in
of paper,
government being able to
Yeah.
accomplish that.
the
Yeah.
pieces of paper are written. An individual can be free and successful.
Well,
Like,
yeah, it was centered around
yeah,
self-governance, and it put limitations on the government.
Yeah, remember the
Rugged individualism.
Declaration of Independence. You know, the every individual has a right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. It's not like
Right.
the country should move towards this idea of life and liberty and happiness overall.
Yeah.
That isn't what it says.
Yes.
The Bill of Rights.
And
the
we
Bill
have
of
a
Rights
right to
has-
overthrow and abolish government if
Yes.
it becomes abusive of our
Yes.
rights.
Yeah.
Yes. The Bill of Rights has the word no or not in it 22 times.
We should set up, I wish we could set up like citizenship exchange program where like people who live under like severe like socialism and commie bullshit and fascist like European nations or African nations or whatever, and they want to get the fuck out and they want freedom and they want their human rights to be respected, we should be able to like just like pick up a little fucking
Swap them.
socialist from the US
Oh,
and
I've
pick
always
up the
talked about
little
the socialist
guy and just like
exchange program.
swap them.
Yeah, send them to
Yeah.
fucking
Yeah.
China.
Yeah, I would
So
love
they can
to
enjoy
see.
those mobile execution vans and the fucking
Yeah.
organ harvesting and the fucking social credit score system and
Oh
all
yeah,
that fun
always-
shit. You
I
know,
always ask. I love to ask because I live in a town where we have UW Extension, we have UWL, we have WTC, we have 2 or 3 other colleges, Viterbo, and a few other colleges or universities here, and most of them are, well, pretty much all of them are fairly left leaning, and I'll get a lot of these socialist like hipsters who, and I always ask them, so are you under the impression that if your big people's revolution were to happen, that everyone that wants to be a sculptor gets to just be a sculptor? Like you're just gonna, everyone else is gonna produce the food and do the hard work, but because it was your idea, you get to be the guy who casts bronzes all day. Like,
Right.
Are you kidding me? No, that isn't the way it works, man. That isn't the way socialism has ever worked. Not that it's truly worked. But that isn't the way it's ever functioned. That is not the way that socialism and communism work. They don't. That doesn't happen.
the people that actually are the useful idiots that make the glorious revolution happen are usually the ones that are the first ones lined up against the wall and shot because they're the biggest fucking threat to the inner party.
Yeah, look at what
because they've
Stalin
been shown
did
that
when
they
he
can't
took
be
over.
trusted. Yeah.
Did you guys ever see that show The Americans?
No.
I
about
saw
the
it.
about the deep
pieces
cover
of it.
KGB agents in the U.S. That show is really fucking good.
Mhm.
It is really good.
Well, I
at
always
demonstrating.
suggest that if people want to understand what fucking communism and all that shit is all about, watch fucking Yuri Bezmenov's fucking interview with G. Edward Griffin, because I mean he was he was a KGB defector, and he talks about ideological subversion and how that whole thing's been carried out against the United States to essentially bring it down so that they can bring in Bolshevism.
Harrison Bergeron. Go read Harrison Bergeron by Kurt Vonnegut Jr.
Yep.
Yep. Well, and I mean, or there's a bunch of others. There's the Gulag Archipelago, and there's the prison camp socialism, and there's a few others out there that tell you what it really looks like on the inside. But I mean, even just study talking about how the people who found it are always the ones that get gotten rid of really quick. Look at the first 3 major figures in the history of the Soviet Union. You got Lenin, Trotsky, and Stalin. And look at that and how that happened and how that worked. And the fact that most likely Lenin was assassinated. He was probably poisoned. Trotsky got forced the hell out because he wanted
got killed in
much
Mexico.
democracy. Yeah, and then gets assassinated. Stalin does all of his purges and gets rid of everybody that stands even the tiniest amount of a threat as a true believer and not someone who's just going to follow his cult of personality.
Also, look at the SA, the Night of Long Knives.
Yeah, look at all of that, where you have all of these true believers that as soon as their little revolution that they're trying to make happens, the people who made that happen and weren't completely in charge, they're the first ones to get taken out.
Yep.
Like, they're the ones you got to get rid of, because they'll argue with you.
Yep.
And you don't want that. You got to get rid of them. So if you think that by supporting socialism and communism in the United States, that somehow you're going to get to, make your macaroni sculptures of dead presidents forever. Like, no, that isn't what happens, man. That is
You get
not
a shallow
what happens.
grave.
Yeah, you either get a shallow grave, or at best, you're one of the people who gets sent out to the agrarian areas to go farm, even though you've never farmed before, and go do that. That's what happens.
You'll at least be well fed in those positions. The people in the inner cities that are working in the factories, with their assigned jobs from the regime or whatever. I mean, they're all starving. If you're farming, you've got access to food.
Well, the one crazy thing that I learned about
who's gonna buy your macaroni statues though?
Yeah.
Well, it wouldn't matter
in a
because
socialist
money doesn't.
economy.
It wouldn't matter.
Under communism.
Exactly.
But if you look into the history of like the Soviet Union after Lenin came to power, the economy tanked, and then he eased up on the tax burden, and the the kulaks, the farmers, like became profitable because he eased the tax burden, and then they were able to buy like more advanced farming equipment and produce more yields. And then when Stalin came to power, he had like the Russian citizens go after the kulaks and kill them. It was like
look at what he did.
20,000ers or whatever.
Well, they had
look at what he did to the
KGB
Ukraine
agents. They had like KGB agents investigating grocers.
Yeah.
For
oh no, it was like a society of silence food. Almost, because everybody turned on each other.
Paranoia.
Yeah, definitely. Everybody turned on each other. Like your own children would turn you in.
And that's why I say people should watch that show, The Americans, because over the course of the series, it shows you like flashbacks to their life in Russia and things like that.
It's crazy.
And it's insane shit.
Or
fucking crazy.
Another good one is No Murder in Paradise. I think that's what it's called, or Murder in Paradise. It's got Daniel Craig in it as a Soviet cop, like in Moscow or whatever. But because it was supposed to be perfect communism, murder didn't happen. So all these like serial killers were just getting away with it because none of these deaths were ever investigated, because no, there is no murder. It can't be a murder. And it's based on a true story. Like, it's based on what actually happened to get them to finally start investigating homicides. And it took this like serial killer who had murdered, I think I heard like 115 children.
Wow.
Before they finally, and then this guy finally caught him and proved that he had done it. And that was the only way that they were able to finally convince the party. And because he had been so firm about this was definitely a serial killer, they had actually sent him to like basically not quite a gulag, but like a tiny town like out in the eastern part of Russia, like not quite Siberia, like but almost there. Yeah. And to get rid of him so that he couldn't keep spreading his dangerous ideas that people actually committed crimes in the perfect Soviet paradise. Yeah. And it's really good, and it goes in depth into the politics and the backstabbing and how nasty it was, and like,
well, it's total absolute psychological warfare, like on an insane level, because it's like you're altering reality, like you're pretty much denying the truth. You know what I mean? It's like it's propaganda on like a whole nother level.
Yeah, you're using your alternative facts.
Yep, exactly. Like decriminalizing crimes, so the crime rate drops to 0.
But people will say, well, that's not real communism. That's not real socialism. Well, but what we're telling you is that's how it always ends up.
Yeah, that's how it always ends up. Because, I mean, even Karl Marx said, this isn't what I wanted, and Russia should never have done this. Like, even Karl Marx himself didn't think that Russia should have done it, because his idea was that it had to be primarily a modern economy. Modern manufacturing-based economy, and Russia was primarily agrarian. Something like 80-something% of the people farmed. Yep. So even he was like, this isn't going to work. But you'll notice that every single country that's done that has been the same as Russia was in 1918, primarily agrarian, not a very advanced economy. Like, they all do it, and it's always forced on people. And Karl Marx in Das Kapital and in the manifesto, he like basically says like that, you know, it should just happen naturally. It'll happen spontaneously, and if it doesn't, then you're just not ready for it, is like what he says.
Well, it's like Cambodia with the killing fields. Like, they killed all the, you know, the intelligentsia essentially, and fucking left everything that would be agrarian.
Yeah, and that's what happens again and again and again. And the freaking guy who invented the idea said this wasn't ever gonna work. So, like, why would you think that it's gonna work now? Even he said it's not gonna work.
Yep.
Like,
well, see, the whole thing is if you study the history of like Bolshevism and communism and everything, it's like they're
the real
global
history.
Yeah,
the real history, not the watered down history.
Like,
yeah, not the watered down history that they teach in public schools.
Yeah, right. I mean, and the international socialist revolution that they had, you know, foreseen happening never took place. So then the Frankfurt School kind of took it in a different direction. They went with a social construct of, you know, Marxism, where it was the dialectic was, you know, the oppressor versus the oppressed still, but it was, you know, different groups societally instead of economically.
Right. Yeah, and that's not, none of that is to say that it would work in a modern economy, in an industrialized economy, because what it does, you inject it into like a modern economy and it becomes an agrarian fucking economy.
Yeah, it destroys because
yeah,
when you disincentivize success, which is exactly what socialism does, there's no longer any incentive to succeed or go over and above. You have completely eliminated any chance of success for your country anymore. Like, that's it.
Well,
that's
what you do is you take out the rungs in the economic ladder, and it's like, well, everybody's going to make the same, so, you know, what the fuck is the point?
Why would I spend 8 years in medical school if I can just mop floors?
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and we're seeing that in a very real way in Cuba when Raul Castro said that, well, because America had opened its doors again to tourism to Cuba, which Trump has undone, which I think is really stupid. I think that the way you kill a communist country is you trade with it as a capitalist country, and that will kill it.
Yeah.
But when that happened, they needed taxi drivers for all of the tourists that he foresaw, and he needed to make sure that they got all of this foreign money in, because obviously Cuba's poor and shit. So
taxi drivers make more money on the down low than doctors do.
Yeah, there are doctors driving taxi cabs.
Yeah, actually, the majority of doctors, engineers, and various scientists and high-end disciplines went and drove cabs because cabbies no longer have a maximum income ceiling. Whatever they make in tips, they get to keep.
Yep.
Right.
So they're making the average. Do you know what the maximum amount in Cuba for you to earn as a doctor is?
No.
$20 per month.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That is your maximum. That's what you get to earn.
So you're living on like rice and beans for fucking ever.
Yeah, I mean, you get your government rations that they give you.
Yeah.
Aside of that, but the money that you get to spend on discretionarily on your own is $20 per month.
No wonder why everybody starves to death.
Yeah, well, and on top of that, that's also why everyone went and drove cabs, because they're like, well, why I put in all this effort, and these guys are making way more. They're making 12 to 40 times as much as I am. Why would I ever keep doing this when I can just do that?
They can make easily. I mean, American cab drivers make way more than $20 a day in tips, you know. But in Cuba, with, you know, smaller capacity for tourism, they can make $20 a day in tips, you know.
Easily.
Well, I think it was Eric Hoffer who wrote True Believer. He said that like the greatest revolutionary is an entrepreneur within a communist country.
Yeah. Yeah.
That takes some balls.
Yes, it does.
Yeah, exactly.
It takes zero balls. It takes zero balls to be a communist in a freer market. In a more capitalist country. It takes zero balls to fucking be a communist in America. None. But
because
to be
it
a
actually
capitalist
requires
in
incentives.
Cuba, Right.
You know what I mean? And they hate that. They like people don't have any driver and like any driver. They don't want that like personal responsibility to like make their life better, so they want to hand it to them.
Right.
Yep.
Freedom is scary.
Yep. All right, let's.
That should be the only question that you have to ask people for them to think about the differences. Do you think it would be more dangerous to be a communist in a capitalist nation or a capitalist in a communist nation?
Well, the thing that bothers the fuck out of me is that like people are even allowed to wave fucking like Soviet flags and shit. It's like more people have died under that than fucking Nazism. I'm not saying that it's any better, but it's like the fact that it's not viewed on the same level or worse is kind of fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, 100 million dead over 100 years. That's like
this is a big rabbit hole, and we can do like multiple shows on this, going into like the education program and teachers and the spread of liberal. It's
never ending.
We've done a lot of this. Yeah, we've done a lot of it over the couple of years that we've been doing this show. It comes up frequently.
Is the rabbit hole.
Yeah.
I personally think it should be about nipple deep.
Yeah.
See what I did there? See what I did there? That's
segue.
Segue. Let's see if I have something that will work to that. Oh, I think I do. Oh wait, no, that's the wrong article. There's the article.
The title of the show should be "Free Nipples for All," because that's a little bit of a play on words there. Free nipples for all.
Yeah. All right, I like it.
Yeah.
Hashtag Free the Nipple wins a victory in Colorado. It's a beautiful sunny day in Fort Collins, Colorado. Maybe you want to take your shirt off. Well, now men and women both can show a little skin in the city, or actually anywhere in Colorado, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, Kansas, or Oklahoma. That's because of a recent court decision. One of the city of Fort Collins decided not to fight. It's a big deal for Britt Hoagland and many women who say it's their right to wear or not wear a shirt. Quote, addressing small parts of inequality can make a big difference in how people are treated on a day-to-day basis, and I thought Free the Nipple would just be one small step closer to how it should be, said Hoagland. Britt, along with co-plaintiff Samantha Six, sued the city of Fort Collins for their right to go topless in public. It's part of the hashtag Free the Nipple movement you might have seen trending on Instagram. Annie McNulty is their attorney and says the law is an attack on equal rights. Quote, any law that says women are prohibited from is unconstitutional and really is just intolerable in a society that should treat women equal to men. Everybody should be comfortable on a hot day, and if that means taking your shirt off, so be it. No matter how you look, you should have the same freedom as the person next to you, and it's also about equality.
Well, yeah, there should never have been, I mean, if you must have laws, there shouldn't be gender-specific ones, like, selective service, or, decency laws that only apply to one gender. Yeah. I mean, I can see it. Yeah.
Well, and it's so, I hate to say it, but like the whole like anti-women being nude thing is so American. Like it really is. It's so American because in Europe that's not a thing, man. Like,
well, so many of the founders of this nation were fucking Puritans, so I don't know why anybody's.
But even the Puritans weren't all that puritanical. I mean, they had sex fucking everywhere, dude. Like just everywhere. Like, I mean, there are letters from Puritan settlements, like where it was published in the paper that the town council was just asking people, "Can you please stop having sex, like in the town square, on your front porch, or like where people can see it?" Because it's really making everybody a little uncomfortable.
Nice.
Like,
stop oppressing me, bro.
Yeah,
that sounds a bit like living in a Scottish clan, honestly.
Yeah,
You guys have you ever been to San Francisco? Just.
Oh, I have. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's, I mean, even the Puritans weren't.
Come and enjoy the shit and heroin needles.
Yeah.
Come and enjoy the hobos having naked sex on top of human feces and heroin needles.
Yeah.
Come and get bubonic
Yep.
plague.
If the cardboard boxes are rocking,
Don't come.
Yay, San
Holy
Francisco.
shit.
But you
So
know,
that's what that fishy smell is. It's not the bay.
yeah, it's a streetcar named No Desire.
is there another dead whale on the beach?
No, it's just a
No,
fat
but
chick.
you you have nude beaches all over the place. You have like very few public decency laws outside of Britain anyway. You have very few of those laws across almost all of Europe, and it's only really Britain and the US who have any major problems with any of that.
Yeah.
Well, there's an argument. There's an argument to be made here that the U.S. is a younger country, so therefore it has a younger culture. You know, whereas like the English culture and Europeans' culture is thousands of years old.
Right.
So
America's still establishing culture, really.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, America is significantly younger than even a huge number of buildings in Europe. I mean, there are.
Yeah.
Don't forget the Tower of London, the White Tower in London, was built by William the freaking Conqueror.
Yeah.
So, like during the initial Norman invasion of England, like
if
Right.
we do have a
1066.
common
Like when-
culture,
yeah.
it is freedom and self-governance and a spirit of rebellion, things like
Yeah.
that. You know what I mean? But like, other than that, we don't really have a uniting culture.
Right. Well, that's not even our uniting culture anymore. That's just lip service these days.
Yeah, it is.
So.
But I just think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that we have to push these laws in the U.S. and in Europe. Everyone would look at you like you were nuts if you even suggested that, like, it would be okay in a place for a man to take his shirt off, but not for a woman to take her shirt off.
See, this is another one of those things where it's like, it's literally totally blown out of proportion. But depending on who you ask, like if you ask a conservative, they're gonna be like, "Oh no, women should cover up," right? But if you ask a liberal, they're gonna be like, "Oh yeah, free, blah 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 blah." But then you change that nipple to a gun, and it's the complete opposite.
Right.
Yep.
Or homeschooling.
Or
You know, I
homeschooling.
mean, it's
Yeah.
illegal.
Well, speaking
in
of guns,
so many
or
European
cannabis
nations.
or cannabis use.
You can
Yeah.
you can free the nipple in Colorado, but they want to take your guns. You know.
Yeah.
You can openly wield dangerous nipples. However, you cannot openly
You can
carry
smoke
a
weed
pistol.
topless in public in Colorado.
Right.
But you just can't
Like,
open
you
carry.
better not carry a
Well,
gun.
yeah, and it's and it's
That's-
ridiculous. It's
And
the same
Virginia
thing-
is the exact fucking opposite. You can carry a gun anywhere you want in this state. But God
Colorado,
Just be
help
consistent,
you if
right?
you smoke weed or show your fucking female nipples.
that's how it is in California too. I mean, like, I can't have more than 10 rounds in my firearm, but I can walk naked down the street.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that New York has a topless law on the beaches. Like women can go topless on the beaches, but like voluntarily they choose not to.
Right.
Yeah, and fun fact, if anyone's planning on going to Europe to go to nude beaches, if you go to a nude beach in Europe during tourist season, and it's a popular nude beach, you will only see a sea of penises.
Yep.
That is what you will see. A sea of wrinkly scrotums. That's what you're looking at, man. You are
Is
not
it like
gonna
illegal
see...
to get an erection on a nude beach?
It's... I mean, you're no.
I got Euro trip going on in my head. Right Kiss your sister.
Yeah. Exactly. But that's really what it's like, though. Like, there are so many nude beaches. The thing that makes me laugh the hardest is there's a nude beach in Cornwall. And if you know anything about the waters around the island of Britain,
It's fucking freezing.
it's not not warm. Not
Major
warm. But
shrinkage.
there's a nude beach in Cornwall, and it's just like, but why? Why would you do that? That's a terrible idea. What is wrong with you people? And people go there, like men, women, they go there. They go naked, and I'm like, but it's really, really cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure the Brits aren't known for being hung, so.
Yeah.
So, although their women are known for having very large tatas, Britain is one of the top largest on average size in the world.
No shit.
Yeah, they
Amazing.
average is actually over D. I think it might actually be double D in Britain is average.
God damn.
Yeah, they're British
Like-
women tend to be well endowed. British
like
men, not so.
north of that, like in
God
Norway
save
and
the queens.
Scandinavia too. It's because the Vikings didn't bring back ugly women.
Yeah.
Yep.
Right.
Oh yeah, that's
Oh.
yeah. My friend Annie's from Sweden, and huh.
Yeah.
You're like, we'll just leave it at that.
Yeah. Gorgeous woman. Absolutely gorgeous. And that's why is because the Vikings, you're destroying this town. You're not gonna bring back ugly chicks. No one's
Yeah.
doing that. Like even the ugly guys are still.
They were
bringing back
basically like selectively breeding. It was like eugenics. They
Yep.
were like killing off populations they didn't like and breeding their women, the beautiful ones. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's
Not that I disagree with that.
Yeah.
no, that
No.
works. That's at least it's for a good cause. And-
Exactly. It's for the greater good, guys.
Yeah.
Yep. Being that we're all about equality, we have to give lip service to the opposite end of the spectrum. Shirtless male baristas. Coffee stand offers new take on the bikini barista trend.
Nice.
After bikini barista shop in
Can we
Seattle's
call
cap-
them? Can we call them banana hammock baristas?
No, we're calling them
Banana
brokinis.
Ristas, maybe?
No.
No, we're calling them brokinis.
All right.
Bro-
fine.
Brokini barista.
I'm just picturing Borat right now with his weird
Oh,
swimsuit thing. And
I
very
was
nice.
thinking like the Todd, you know, from Scrubs, the Todd in his banana
Yeah,
hammock.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Now, after bikini barista shop in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood, after failing to attract enough customers, a new coffee shop. I fucking suck today.
Take two.
after a bikini barista shop in Seattle's Capitol Hill neighborhood closed after failing to attract enough customers, a new coffee shop employing shirtless men has taken its place.
They better be good looking shirtless
Yeah.
men.
As first reported by Capitol Hill Seattle blog, Dream Boys Espresso opened on September 13th.
I wonder if it's gay.
Yeah.
Dream Boys.
The owner says it's currently the only coffee shop stand operated by shirtless men in Washington State. The stand is located in a parking lot at the corner of Broadway and Harrison. Ladybug Espresso, which used to occupy the space, closed recently after a lack of business. But the new all-male barista stand is turning a lot of heads. Quote, I saw a hunky guy there, said Jacob Hager, who lives in the neighborhood. This was a topless guy sitting there with swollen pecs and whatnot.
And he called him hunky.
Yeah.
So it kind of
Called
is.
All right.
Well, no,
No,
Molly
man,
and I
I'm
were
not gonna
talking
judge.
about this last night because you ever notice how like guys that get swole, it's like they only get complimented by other guys.
Yeah.
As someone who lifts weights, yes. I know.
I pointed
Jason's
that
like
out, though, too,
fucking.
'cause, like,
He's built like the Rock.
I like a friend of mine that I've known since I was a kid is a professional bodybuilder, and I was laughing at him not that long ago because he had up in his home gym, he has posters of these very scantily clad
Like,
dudes with their muscles and everything like flexing.
Yep.
And I'm like, because that's a totally heterosexual thing right there.
If,
Totally.
if you're
Yeah.
if you're an Ironhead and you don't have a poster of Arnold Schwarzenegger on the wall somewhere,
That's right.
you're wrong.
Right.
You're absolutely wrong. So yeah, quote, I saw it was men running it, and that was even more awesome. They're in these kind of brief bikinis, and they're all very good-looking young men. So I think both men and women will enjoy the difference. Said another Capitol Hill resident.
See, that's where I object. Is they're all good looking? They need to have guys like me, like a beard and a beer belly, and
Yep.
just like
Lumberjack. Naked
Dad
lumberjack
body brew.
baristas.
Dad body.
yes,
For
Oh.
equality.
yes.
Dad bod
Yes,
brews.
I love
Yeah,
it.
that's the coffee.
That's-
Dad bod brew.
Like picture the Whimsical Woodsman. If you're unfamilier with the Whimsical
Whimsical
Woodsman, you
Woodsman.
need to go look at. I love that guy. I absolutely love that guy. and like think that, but giving you coffee. That's
Right.
how could that business plan fail?
Yeah.
Dude, that is entrepreneurial genius right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, I'm gonna be rich.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
It's just
Just
dad
for the-
bods and
just for
swim
the-
trunks.
For the effect, Jerica, there's the picture of the guy at the window.
Nice.
Yeah, he's totally
Right.
not gay.
Oh, he's got a bow tie, so it's like a Chippendales thing.
Yep,
Yeah.
Chippendales. It's
Yeah.
Chippendales meets Starbucks, and
Yeah.
The guy in the picture said he used to work at Starbucks and he enjoys being a barista.
Yeah.
It does not say if he enjoys long walks on the beach.
honestly,
or-
that definitely sounds incredibly
He
heterosexual.
enjoyed
Very
pina
muscular
Or long
coladas
guns
and
in
getting
his pooper.
caught in the rain.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah,
a very muscular man in a bow tie.
Yeah.
And I enjoy being a barista.
Sorry for my
Wait,
That
bigotry.
sounds-
hold on.
Yeah, that's
now,
not
now for the
totally
sec-
hetero.
this is the Dream Boy stand is still in its soft open phase.
Oh my god!
Oh, come on.
The two baristas put up a sign.
Jason, you can't do that without warning us.
I did that on purpose just for you. Okay. The two baristas put up a
This
sign.
is
with the
his
slogan-
flaccid open phase.
Yeah.
When's there a hard open? That's when.
The Dream Boy stand is still in its soft open phase. Two baristas put up a
Holy
sign-
fuck.
Oh, they're giving grand opening a whole new meaning.
Speaking of that, you being heterosexual.
Hold on. Hold on. Let me get through the rest of it.
Grande opening.
The two baristas put up a sign with the slogan "Hot guys serving hot coffee" on Tuesday, and immediately got people to turn their heads and pull out their phones to take a picture.
Oh my god.
I just felt like women do it, but why not men? Said I'm gonna try another one of the new employees. The owners of the new coffee stand also own 45 Ladybug Bikini Espresso stands with female baristas across Western Oregon.
So women do it, why not men? You can change that phrase around and it becomes
It absolutely
No
goes along with Free the
women.
Nipple.
Yeah. No,
Hey, man,
no women, why men do it.
People who pass the stand all seem to think there's no better place for it than Seattle's Pride Central. I definitely like.
Called it.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Quote, I definitely
Called
like
it.
the idea of equality with it now. A male stand and a female stands. I really like it, and I think it's a cool form of a little bit of entertainment with your coffee.
Yeah, but were
Yeah,
they saying that about the bikini baristas that were also being like drummed out of town in Washington?
well,
Probably not.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
that's the funny thing is, and I mean, they actually did a study.
There's another picture for you, Derica. With
Nice.
some dude butts.
Those guys are totally hetero. I can see it from here. I
That
feel
is-
the straightness just.
that
washing off of
is
them.
that is
There's definitely not a-
pillar of masculinity. I'll have you know that outfit.
Each
Yeah.
one of them has his own pillar of masculinity.
Ah,
There's totally not a rainbow flag flying
Where's
outside
the
that
Law and
place.
Order sound effects?
Oh,
we really
shit,
need it
you're
for
right.
that.
That's that. Oh man,
Dun, dun.
the soft open.
Yeah, the grand opening,
Yeah, the grand opening.
the pillars of masculinity. Yeah.
They actually did a study not that long ago, and I don't remember exactly when, but they did a study on like nudity, like male versus female nudity, and like comfort levels of a bunch of people from various sections of society. And what they actually found is that both men and women are far more comfortable with female nudity than they are with male nudity.
Well, yeah, because women
Yeah.
are way more beautiful. Like,
Well, yeah, because
I mean,
every
the female physique is just
Well, and
it's more
and
appealing to the eye.
female, like female full frontal has been part of like the cinema landscape for way longer than
Mhm.
male full frontal has been.
So yeah,
Well, yeah, and it's, I mean, if you look at it in general, most of the time when you see a guy naked from the waist down in a movie, it's from behind and it's done as a joke, like it's supposed to
Unless it's that Viggo Mortensen movie. What was it? Eastern Promises, where he's
Yeah.
like, he's in that steam room and like the Russian whatever, and he's fucking butt naked fighting that dude with his dick swinging all over.
Yeah, or in Deadpool, where Ryan Reynolds, you do totally see his dick swing out as during the fight scene as the lab is burning down, and that is apparently, I've been told, actually his dick. He is actually naked for that scene. Like, he was like, no, I actually was naked for that scene.
I didn't think I could have a bigger lady boner for him, but you just proved me wrong, Andrew.
I'm glad I could help, I guess.
Thanks.
But
Mount Hood is engorged over Ryan
Kevin's
Reynolds.
the one who's really going to benefit, so.
So he should be naked. You're welcome for my service.
Yes.
Oh God! You don't even want to know where my no. You know what? I'm saying it. Fuck it. I was gonna say you're welcome for my service to your wife. You're welcome that I serve your wife.
For sure. I hope you don't think that would piss him off. That would turn him on. So, yeah.
Man.
Oh God.
I have nothing. I can't follow that up with anything.
The absurdity rolls on Anarchy Among Friends.
I was just gonna say the most professional fucking show on the web.
That's right.
So professional at all times.
Yeah.
And sensitive to the possible offenses of others, and
always.
And we never overshare from our personal lives.
Never, no. Especially not on episode 69. That definitely didn't happen.
Yeah, that
I
never
missed that
happened.
episode. God damn it.
Dude.
Oh man.
Did you ever go back and watch it though?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
it was
between her and Lindsay, it's like, whoa, you guys are just wow. What?
Yeah, like my. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you guys still recovering from episode 69? You haven't finished processing it yet?
I will never recover from it.
I'll never recover.
He is mentally scarred for life.
What we call episode 69.
If I ever do anything epic enough that I can write an autobiography, episode 69 has its own chapter.
Yeah.
Speaking of autobiographies, it's a great segue.
Yep.
Yeah.
What
no,
about
hold on. No, we have to get something else first because since we're on the subject.
Okay.
Oh.
The Montreal STM bus hits so many potholes that women claim it turns them on.
Wait, what was that?
Where is this at?
I went for a bus ride.
This is Montreal.
Oh, okay.
Montreal STM bus hit so many potholes that some women claim it turns them on.
Yeah.
That's actually funny because back before Top Gear became Grand Tour, all the guys went over there. They did a thing about the BAC Mono, which is like a track day car. And apparently, and Jeremy Clarkson is driving it, and he's talking about how bad it vibrates from the motor. And he goes, and it vibrates like, well, let's just say that if I was a lady, I would like it very much.
Why do you think women love motorcycles?
Yeah. And horseback riding.
Yeah, exactly.
That lean forward position. That's why they always
and
ride
washing
them
machines on the spin cycle and Sibians and wait.
No, you're veering here.
I'm veering. Sorry.
I had a friend that put a bass speaker underneath the passenger seat.
Yep. There is actually an entire genre of YouTube videos about that. Don't ask me why I know that. Don't judge me, but it exists.
We are judging the fuck out of you now.
Yeah, right.
I know.
What are you watching on YouTube?
Ladies, pro tip: sit forward, lean forward. It'll get you a better experience. I promise.
Yeah. So
but bassgasms. Bassgasms, if anyone's interested.
Yeah. Bassgasms.
And you are. Don't lie. You're all interested. You are all going to look that up now. Everybody's going to look that up.
I don't know how
I've seen it firsthand.
I've never thought of that as something that could be found on YouTube, but I should have known.
Yep.
I should have known.
YouTube has everything. So,
there are playlists.
Right. Yeah.
Not mine.
There are playlists.
All right. Let's face it, ladies. Sometimes after a long and busy day at work, you just want to sit on something big and hard and let it take you for a ride.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just read that. All right, in a city that is filled
I
with
love that you just read that. Oh my god.
There it
That
is.
is so awesome.
I'm flushing up just a little bit. In a city that is filled with potholes, which ruin our cars and make our city look decrepit, there had never really been a silver lining to our horrendous streets until now. Honey, as she would like to be called, is a Montreal local
There's
who
always
has,
a
a
silver lining.
gift, who has a gift for ladies on the island, and it is a gift that is going to keep on giving. Honey went to Reddit to share her pleasing and rewarding discovery, and I couldn't help but share it with all of you. After
If that company doesn't rename itself the Peak Bus Lines, I'm gonna be so disappointed.
We are the climax of
I
comfort.
guarantee
Yes.
you, like
The absolute apex.
whoever does the analytics for this, I want to see the ridership numbers after this article came out.
Yeah.
Come
no
and
shit.
come and ride our buses.
Yeah.
Yes.
After I read the Reddit post below, I knew I had to talk to this woman because let's face it, this post is pretty legendary, and after speaking with her, I am even more certain that she is a legend. Okay, and then the Reddit post goes on. It says, "Ladies, if you're searching for the ultimate experience and self-satisfaction, look no further than bus 165. During light traffic, that bus will be barreling down the side of the mountain, hitting the best potholes and speed bumps that Montreal has to offer."
They even give the
best-
You're
fucking
gonna
bus
have.
number.
They're gonna find women under there with wrenches, fucking with the suspension on that thing.
Can we make the suspension a little harder? Can we make it just a little harder?
Yeah.
There's too much padding in these seats.
Yeah.
The best
Why are you sitting
vibrator,
right in the middle
Bring
of
back
two buckets?
wooden
No
bus
reason.
seats. Just
the best vibrator you've ever used is no match for the 165. So pad up or bring an extra pair of panties, girl, because you're gonna need it when that ride is over.
I'm gonna like adjust just one piston out of phase with all the others, and then give you like a
Yeah.
really nice effect, I think.
Loosen the bolts on the exhaust pipe.
Yeah. Get
Honey,
that shit really
yeah.
rattling down the road.
Yeah, Honey explained to me that the long accordion
It's like on the
bus
verge of falling
had
apart.
a handful of people on it when she began to feel those good feels, which is why she, quote, wasn't too concerned with being heard.
She's
These
like, nah,
sati-
I'm getting mine. Fuck
She was
it.
like, "Oh God, this is
Okay.
my stop."
I'm
Yeah.
almost there. I'm almost there. Oh, which turn is it? No, keep driving, you idiot.
The
Yeah.
satisfied rider takes this particular bus as often as she can. When I asked her if the 165 was always worth the ride, she claimed, quote, "It depends on how fast and crazy the bus driver is. The faster."
Oh.
Rough rider.
She went on to tell me that the bus ride, quote, gives life. I mean, who can say no to that?
Wow, that lady was hard fucking up. I tell you,
Yeah.
A little bit.
like, I kind of feel
Honey.
bad for her.
Honey has now purchased an OPUS card for the year so that she never misses a wild and fulfilling ride on the 155.
I
Wow.
would put
Literally
money
got a
down.
Bus pass.
I would bet money that she wears jeans on this bus. That nice, like, denim seam right down the center there, and you lean forward a little.
Speaking
Derek
of
is giving away all the
overshares,
secrets and shit.
I am, I know.
We know too much.
yeah, this conversation is taking a turn.
Oh, come on. You guys are so bashful.
Episode 69, V2.
You know, I'm almost disappointed though that it's bus 165 and not 169. Let's
Yeah.
be honest.
Right.
Like it
Yeah.
really should have been bus 169.
No, somewhere in that city there is a bus 69. That's
Yep,
the one
that's
they
what
need
it
to
should
put
have.
on this route.
Yeah, bus 69.
Or bus zero, the big O.
Yeah, the big O. That's right. That's even better, Dan. That's even better. The big
Oh,
O.
we'll take you there with pleasure. In
Yeah,
the big O.
come ride the big O.
I can just see bus 165. The driver turns onto the street. The lights go low.
Yeah.
Maybe
Marvin
Everybody
Gaye
gets
maybe
a
starts
wine
playing.
box.
Somebody turns on some music and starts getting louder.
Yeah, it's Marvin
Yeah.
Gaye. It's got to be a little Marvin Gaye. They pass out little individual bottles of Chardonnay. Maybe there's some
Right.
candles.
Yeah, the ones you can buy at the movie theater, right? The little, I know what you're the ones you're
Plus
talking
165 alive.
about.
Feel alive.
Jeez.
Like that scene in Ricky Bobby. I just love when they go past.
Yeah. But let's not forget
Oh.
that this whole thing is made possible by government inefficiency and incompetence.
Yes.
Thank you,
But-
government, for once.
But who
Yeah, for
built
once.
the roads?
You did something right. On
Your
accident.
Yeah.
utter failure to actually maintain the roads has in fact brought joy to the heart
Hey,
of at least
all-
one woman.
Just
That's right.
just thinking on it. Just thinking on it. Like if you were a truly entrepreneurial agorist or anarchist, and you could figure this out, and you could dig some potholes.
Yeah.
Start putting potholes in.
Dude,
just-
destroying the roads is kind of our thing, though.
What you need is
We
like
hate
Well,
you
yeah,
need a
but
road.
anarchist hates two
I'll
things.
tell you.
Roads and other anarchists.
I'm gonna tell you guys what you need is you need a road that is nothing but rumble strips. The ones they put in the middle of the highway to warn you when you're crossover.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just one continuous rumble strip.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
We have those on the levee like every and it's like every 150 there's like 4 rows of rumble strips, and then on
No, I'm
the,
talking about the ones that run along the center line. The
Oh yeah, we
whole
have
way.
center line and
we
the
have
edge.
those
The
on the
cen-
on the center
yeah.
line and on both the yellow lines
Yeah.
on
Right.
the levee.
Yeah, the center line
Yeah,
one. So,
that
you know when you're
get this
crossing lanes.
non-stopped. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hell
excuse me,
yeah,
man, but
that's
why
what
are
I'm
you
talking
riding
about.
on the center lines?
Yeah, why are you
You
riding
get pulled
the
over
center
and shit.
line?
Right?
And, no
So
reason.
your business
I,
officer.
I need a minute, officer.
Yeah.
Can you just a minute?
Just a
Derek-
couple more
Derek is
miles.
in the-
I'm almost
Derek
there.
is in the passenger seat. Give me the handcuffs. Give me the handcuffs.
Why did you try to
Officer's been a
evade from
bad
me?
girl.
Why did you try to evade me for 5 miles?
You know, officer, I know you probably have never been asked this before, but can I just get you to get in the back seat and choke me for a little while?
Yeah.
You just put me in a chokehold.
I've been a bad girl. I need you to throw me over the hood and spank me right now.
Search me. Be rough.
You have
Pull
one of
my
those
hair,
extendable
officer.
batons, by the way.
Yeah. Seriously.
Dan's going. Mace me. Mace me.
Hey, don't give away my secrets.
Yeah.
I prefer bear mace to the eyes when I'm like almost there.
Oh, dude,
Yeah.
I have a story about bear mates, man. I was
No, I know
blind
you told me
for 2
about
days.
that. Like you accidentally bear maced yourself.
Somebody else accidentally bear maced me. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
I had a buddy mace an entire vehicle worth of us. I was driving. I was also maced by him as we're
Oh,
driving down the
dude.
highway at 75 miles an hour.
Oh my god.
Nice.
Because he decided it would be funny to take his mace and spray it out the window.
And it blew back in.
Yeah, because the wind is
Mhm.
75 mile an hour winds.
Mhm.
So yeah, it blew back into the car in a giant cloud, and everyone
Oh,
immediately went
God.
blind. And I had to try and keep my eyes open and get us to the side of the road.
It's probably just like streaming tears while you're driving.
And
Oh.
gagging and coughing and like,
Yeah.
oh my god, what is wrong with you? Well, I thought it would go out the window. Why would you think that? It's an aerosol and that's 75 mile an hour winds. There is no place on planet
That's too
Earth that
fucking
that
bright.
works.
Yeah.
Like,
All
Yeah.
right. Speaking of being violently fucked, cops accused of stealing over $225,000 can't be sued thanks to qualified immunity.
Once again.
everyone's
Yes.
favorite. Yeah, this is what the third or fourth time we've talked about this.
Yeah.
In
It's such an
in
Orwellian
the
term.
last, in like the last 2 months, it's like the third or fourth time.
That first one, what did we say? We said that was going to set a precedent and
Yep.
cops were going to start getting out of fucking
Which
everything.
is funny because qualified immunity exists because there is no precedent, but then they keep
Yep.
using qualified immunity.
The
As
lack of
precedent.
precedent is
after
what
the-
they're using to not
Yeah.
set a precedent.
Yeah.
Right.
It's so,
So
fucked.
this is
It's like
again-
Schrodinger's immunity.
Yeah. So again, this is our friends in the U.S. Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals.
Oh, my favorite court of appeals.
Yeah, has ruled that that Fresno police officers accused of stealing more than $225,000 while executing a search warrant are protected by qualified immunity and thus cannot be sued over the incident. While the unanimous fucking panel, acknowledged that, quote, the city officers ought to have recognized that the alleged theft was morally wrong, it concluded that they, quote, did not have clear notice that it was a violation of the Fourth Amendment.
Wow.
In other words,
aren't they supposed to know the law better than anybody else, though?
Yeah. In other words, the cops weren't equipped with enough information to deduce that robbing people is a violation of the constitutional rights against unreasonable searches and seizures, a bizarre interpretation of the law.
But they arrest people for it all the
So
time.
are they claiming that because they stole it for themselves instead of for the police department, it doesn't fall under a government activity, so it's not a violation of the Constitution?
No, it's they stole it for the police department.
No,
themselves.
No, they stole it for themselves.
No, they stole it for themselves.
Yeah, they stole $225,000 while executing a search warrant. So they had a search warrant. This article goes into it. 2013, Fresno police carried out a raid on Micah Jessup and Britton Asjean while they were suspected of operating illegal gambling machines. Neither man was ever charged.
This is some training day bullshit, man.
Upon completing the search, officers provided both with a ledger maintaining that they'd seized $50,000. Jessup alleged that in reality, the cops made off with $151,000 in cash and $125,000 in rare coins. Both men contended that the officers pocketed the difference between the funds reported with the warrant and the total amount that they took, amounting to $226,380 theft.
Wow.
Even so, the panel granted qualified immunity, a legal doctrine that, in the words of reasons C.J. Samarilla, quote, allows public officials to violate a constitutional right so long as that right has not been clearly established by current case law. And in theory, it protects civil servants from undue harassment. In practice, it allows those officials to get away with behavior that would land a normal person in prison. So
I was just going to say that.
Yeah, they executed a search warrant on this illegal gambling operation. The itinerary of what they took said $50,000. In reality, they took an extra like $226,000 worth of stuff and pocketed it.
Yep.
Right.
And they're protected from being sued for the $225,000 theft because, according to the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, that they did not know that stealing the $225,000 was wrong.
Yeah, because I mean, like, if they didn't have that costume and badge on and they do that on normal, like, you know, not on duty, you know what I mean? They wouldn't understand that that's wrong.
Right.
Yeah. Because
it's essentially the same thing.
Badges grant extra intelligence.
Yeah.
Or something.
Or extra culpable deniability.
Yeah.
Jesus. It's pretty simple. If you would arrest somebody else for doing it...
I did not know.
If you'd arrest someone for doing it to you, you shouldn't be doing it to them.
Yeah, wouldn't that be grand theft or whatever? Under, like, you know, if it was...
that would absolutely be grand
regular
theft,
person?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Not to mention falsifying their paperwork to the police department.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what's coming to mind is this scene.
Who think you fucking with? I'm the police. I run shit here. You just live here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. I'll put a case on all of you.
Yeah, I'll send you all to Pelican Bay, 24-hour lockdown. Like that's what this is. They openly stole almost $250,000. Openly stole it.
Yeah.
Over $250,000.
And not only are they not...
Well, this shit emboldens, like, brazen fucking, you know, just, like, illegal activity.
Yeah, but and the court rules unanimously. Well, I mean, they really should have known that stealing money from people is wrong, but they're the cops, so whatevs.
Yeah,
They
so
didn't know
Nobody
anybody.
ever,
That's what it says.
nobody ever specifically told them.
Yeah, that's
it
what it
was
says.
wrong.
It said that the panel acknowledged that, and I quote, "The city officers ought to have recognized that the alleged theft was morally wrong."
Yeah.
It concluded that they, and I quote again, "did not have clear notice that it violated the Fourth Amendment."
But
It
ignorance of the law
requires-
for us is no defense.
Exactly.
It requires
Total
notice
double
ahead
standard.
of time specifically that stealing is wrong.
Yeah.
To police.
Yeah.
What does this tell you about police?
Yeah,
They may
it
not
should
realize
tell
that
you a lot.
stealing is not okay.
And
Yeah.
another thing, let's not forget the fact that it took 6 years.
Yeah. Exactly. I was
this
going to say
ruling to come down.
2013.
2013 was when the raid was.
Fucking ridiculous.
Jesus. Oh,
What do you think are the odds that anybody
then-
sees
and
any of
then-
that money back either?
so the
Oh,
court
they will
says,
never
course
see
not.
it. They will never see it. It was seized, and they're gonna have to, like, probably civil asset forfeiture, and they would probably have to go to court to try to
Right.
prove that it was not illegal.
so the court
Illegally
says
acquired.
there's no precedent. So these cops didn't know because there's no precedent. It's never been explicitly stated before. And
But they won't set a
then
precedent.
the court refuses to set a fucking precedent and tell
Exactly.
them it's wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because as long as they have that argument, they can keep letting the police do anything they fucking want to anybody they fucking want
Exactly.
all day, every day, and you have no legal recourse. If you're a person who believes in working through the system, you have no way to do anything about it.
Yeah.
Here's
That's how they want it.
on this is on reason.com, and they have some other articles that are listed below it. Court rules cop who shot unarmed 15-year-old is protected by qualified immunity. Wow. Right below that, court rules police officer who shot 10-year-old is protected by qualified immunity.
Yep.
There's
They
Unbelievable.
can murder your children, shoot your dog, steal your money,
Yep.
and you can't do anything about it.
But they're protecting
But-
and serving.
Yeah, somehow they're protecting and serving, and they're so heroic.
Right.
Are you kidding
Yeah.
me? Like, they're pirates. They
Yeah.
are pirates. This fits the definition of piracy.
Yeah.
Yes.
No, they're absolutely highwaymen. Modern day highwaymen.
Yeah.
It's when you'll talk about that, like if you talk about like how people have such a romanticized view of pirates, and the deep down guys like Edward Teach, was it Edward Teach?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Edward
Yeah.
Teach.
Yeah, Edward Teach and Benjamin Hornigold and Anne Bonny and all these other pirates.
Captain
that-
Jack Rackham and
Calico Jack Rackham,
Blackbeard.
that's Edward
Teach.
Teach.
Oh, is it? That's what I thought.
That's Teach.
That's what I thought.
But you'll talk about how all these people are so romanticized, and the deep down, really what they were murderers and thieves, and
Yep.
mentally unstable murderers and thieves. And like you can talk about that, and people go, "Yeah, the romanticizing them is wrong," and then we'll immediately turn around and romanticize the modern day pirates who are everywhere, who are doing exactly the same thing, murdering and stealing with absolute impunity,
And raping.
simply because they can. Yeah, and raping with. There was that cop just recently who he raped a 8-year-old girl or something, and he got probation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the only difference between them and actual pirates is that they have the government backing them.
Yeah.
And then there's
there
the
was
two
pirates
cops.
initially.
The two cops that raped a handcuffed underage suspect in the back of
In
their
New
car.
York,
Wow.
New York, the girl, There's a cop in Florida that just resigned from the force after he made the threat of a mass shooting.
Wow.
He threatened to do a mass shooting if he didn't get a raise. And it was like, "Oh, I was just joking. I quit." No red flag. Still has his guns.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's fucking insane.
Exactly. But I mean that's the thing though, is like, I mean, remember, even the pirates, the actual pirates, they started out like Benjamin Hornigold. What did he start out as? A privateer.
A privateer.
He did have the backing of the government originally, And it wasn't until later that he became inconvenient that he stopped having the backing of the government. But I mean, that's the thing to remember is these guys are doing now. These cops are doing exactly the same thing. They are nothing but pirates. They are murderers, rapists, and thieves who are operating with impunity. And there's nothing that we're even allowed to do about it because at the time in the 1650s, 60s, and 70s, during the golden age, the silver and golden age piracy, you could bring cannons and guns on your ship and kill them to get them to stop.
Yeah.
Right.
Was the article last year?
And now they're taught that we're the fucking
we're the dangerous ones.
Yeah, exactly.
We're the dangerous ones because we want to be free and we don't.
We're
want to
the threat.
Yeah. What was the article? I think it was 2 years ago now, but it was like talking about 2015, where the DEA alone, just the DEA, one government agency, stole more from people through civil asset forfeiture than all the burglars and robbers combined that year.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All of them combined nationwide. Yeah. One government agency, and the DEA doesn't actually do nearly as much civil asset forfeiture on its own as all the rest of the agencies combined. So think about how much
the local LEOs
Jesus,
combined.
Dan, what are you doing?
Yeah, what the hell, man?
Sorry, am I making a lot of noise?
He's putting
Sorry, I'm trying to fucking reheat a eggplant parm that I made.
Oh, you're squeezing into your GIMP suit. Don't lie.
Hit the mute button for a second. Damn.
Squeezing into his GIMP suit. He's gonna go get some coffee.
He's all alone in the apartment today.
Don't tell my world about the world about my kinks, man. Come on.
Don't kink shame, Dan. No kink shaming.
You're taught. Like you missed episode 69. You haven't, like, me and Andrew haven't really opened up either, and like, trust me, there is no shame.
All right, it's in the microwaves. Yeah, no, I almost fucking dropped the plate, so that's what happened.
Here I am.
We have the sound piped directly into our fucking ears, like we're all wearing earbuds. Yeah.
Well, see, I think my problem is I haven't smoked weed in weeks.
Yeah.
But I mean, that's the thing though, is remember that the actual pirates you could kill to defend yourself. You are not legally allowed.
Well, no, that's not true. That's not true. And I think it's Iowa Supreme Court ruled that Indiana Supreme Court ruled that you have the right to defend yourself from illegal
arrest.
Was
after that case where the guy shot the two cops after they raided his house.
Yeah, well, and it's been a Supreme Court decision. Actually, that was that Bad Elk? That was Bad Elk, I think, right?
God damn it!
That was the defend against self against illegal arrest or unlawful arrest and detainment with any force necessary up to and including deadly force. But good luck justifying it was basically what the court said. Like, and I think that was Bad Elk. I could be wrong.
It was Bad Elk. Yeah, that was the case.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what that was, and that's what that found.
The grounds were like if you feel that your life is in danger, you have the right to defend yourself.
Right, exactly.
Let's see. Held that an individual had the right to use force to resist an unlawful arrest and was entitled to jury instruction to that effect.
So a cop, or the police department comes into town.
Yep.
Yeah. So if there's two claims of I feared for my life, either there's like the police's family or police department claiming, that the police officer feared for his life, and then the person who survived the encounter saying they feared for theirs, what's a court going to do? Who are they going to side with? They will always fucking side with the cop.
Well, always. And I mean, think about it. It's what do you always get for an argument with, like, that guy who killed those cops when they were illegally raiding the wrong home with a no-knock raid, and he fired and he killed them. Remember that the defense that the police department gave was, well, he should have just laid down his arms and surrendered and everything would have been okay.
ridiculous.
Yeah, no,
Like,
I watch
just let us
movies.
do anything.
Bad guys sometimes dress up like police. I can't fucking make any assumptions. They did it in Ocean's 11, for God's sake. I mean,
Well,
you know.
just what was that, like 2 months ago, 3 months ago, that there was that security camera footage that guy had gotten with his little security camera on his front door of those two dudes dressed up as cops that were trying to rob him.
FBI agents.
Yeah, as FBI agents. Like, so clearly that happens. How am I supposed to know? Even if you identify yourself as police, you just kicked in my door in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
I know I haven't done anything to warrant this. I know I haven't done anything wrong.
Yeah, so I have every right to defend myself.
Yeah.
I'd shoot you in the fucking face.
Yeah.
So,
So.
on to a lighter note.
Yes, please.
Speaking of Dan's eggplant, preschool growing fruits and vegetables ordered by the city to stop sales.
Now we're gonna have to name the episode Dan's eggplant now.
No. My eggplant is not to be spoken of. It's too tasty.
Yeah.
The national farm-to-school movement has grown so fast that it's challenging traditional notions of city planning, and a Clinton County preschool is ground zero to the effect. The Little Ones Learning Center in Forest Park, this is outside Atlanta, has nationally recognized garden-based education program. In 2015, it merited a visit by then First Lady Sandra Deal, who watched the children tasting fresh juice. Quote, "It was a treat to see your early learning center practicing good nutrition with a bountiful garden. The primary goal has been to influence food preferences of children and their parents, but the preschool also wants to give residents in the surrounding neighborhood access to quality fruits and vegetables. In 2018, Little One started a bi-monthly farm stand for sales to parents and neighbors. The produce was both grown in the garden and brought in by nearby farms. This summer, City Hall has shut it down. Little Ones, as it turns out, is in a residential area that is not zoned for farm stands.
Jesus.
Quote, "Anywhere you live, you've got to have rules and regulations," Forest Park City Manager Angela Redding said.
I love the next part of this quote.
Quote, "Otherwise, you would just have whatever."
I'll take whatever, please.
Yeah, I like whatever.
One. I want that one.
Yeah.
You've
That
got
goddamn freedom again.
Bypasses. That's, it's the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. Well, we've got to have bypasses. Otherwise, how would you bypass things? We've got to build the bypasses.
Right.
Little One's proprietor, Wanda Meadows, believes the law needs to change. She went to a city council meeting in early September to say so. The city has so far refused to amend it, but has offered to let her sell goods on a city-owned property. It is outside of the neighborhood Meadows wants to serve, though, and is an inconvenient location for the parents who buy much of the food.
Which is funny because you hear all of these government officials that run on this very pro-socialism thing talk about food deserts, where there's no grocery stores, there's no like local stands to get anything else. It's a desert food because you have to go outside of this area in order to obtain it and haul it in, and how that's such a terrible thing. And yet, when someone is voluntarily making that, not a problem, they go, well, but this is residential. This was pre-planned to be a food desert. Like,
right. Yeah.
Yep. She isn't just worried about her school.
We don't do that. We have anarchy.
Yeah, she wants a law that allows other preschools to follow her lead and expose more residents to the taste of organic kale, sweet potatoes, and watermelon. Quote, "If they're going to Piggly Wiggly and all they see is Taki chips and chemicals, that's all that they know. We just want to bring our city up to date." And then it's a lot more rhetoric, blah 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 blah. And then it shows a little kid in a Spider-Man outfit planting. Like,
and gardening is so good for everybody involved. Like everybody fucking wins. Literally everybody wins.
Yeah, look at Detroit. What they're doing there.
Detroit's a perfect example.
Yeah.
I mean, it's revolutionizing the supply of quality, nutritious food to kids in particular in Detroit, and it's making things so much better in these neighborhoods where these vacant lots and things are starting to get used as like farms.
Yeah, urban farming is like,
Yeah.
it's a great idea.
And it's making things so much better there, and it's such a great way to utilize all of this dead space in Detroit. And these people, what was happening was something awesome where it's one, it's all voluntary. Two, it's, you know, it's donations and it's people donating their time and their energy, and, you know, seeds were initially donated and all of this stuff. And it's providing nutritious food for kids, and it's giving them all of these benefits.
All right, here it is. Yeah.
We need
Reading,
that government cheese, you know?
yeah, Reading, the Forest Park city manager said that the farm stand was a drumroll safety concern.
It's for the
Jesus
children's safety.
Parked cars lined the street the day a code enforcement officer shut it down. Besides relocating her farm stand to the city property, she can file for a special permit each time she wants to sell. There is a $50 fee that covers any needed police presence or other safety measures. Reading said adding the city, quote, can work with her on the cost.
Jesus.
Fuck them.
Don't worry, it's for the children's safety, and we're here to help you through this because, you know, we just have everyone's best interest at heart, and that's why we had to deny all of these children easy access to nutritious food.
Right. We need our
for their best
cut,
interests, so we have to
or-
deny their best interests.
Yeah.
Meadows doubts that the farm stand would proliferate, especially not in the high poverty neighborhoods. Little ones sold maybe $150,000 worth of produce each time she put up the stand, with 2 or 3 dozen customers coming around. Subtracting the hourly wage for her staffers who work on the stand, it was a money loser, Meadows said. She suggested the city should exempt education facilities from the farm stand prohibition.
Yeah, they should. Everybody should be exempted from it, but
Yeah.
if anybody has like a major leg to stand on here against them,
It's education.
Yeah, it's education. I'm teaching kids about farming. I'm teaching them about the entrepreneurial spirit and about business and how business transactions work and advertising and all of these things, and preparing them to be well-rounded, functional, successful adults with good nutrition who understand the value of fresh produce.
Well, this just highlights that the educational system is anti that.
Oh, of course
it's
it
not
is.
about preparing people.
It's about indoctrination and fucking arrested development more so than like, you know, actually promoting things that are actually gonna help them be
Absolutely.
successful and, you know.
Well, yeah, me and my boss were just talking about that because he's from Atlanta originally, and we were talking about the fact that he was like, you know, I got really lucky with my school. He's like, my high school, they taught me we had an economics class and we had a consumer math class that focused on like balancing a checkbook and how to do taxes.
Oh, yeah, they don't teach any of that
budgeting.
shit.
Yeah, and he's like all of that stuff, and he's like, and the school, the local school that his kids go to, also teach that stuff, but the school board is trying to get rid of it because they don't think it's worth it. And I'm like, of all of the classes you have in that entire school that are actually educational and important, it's those, and those are the ones you want to ditch. And like he talked about, like he had a consumer economics and a home economics, and the home ec class, of course, was you know, you got taught how to make your own food, where to buy your own food, all these other things.
We had that.
And that's
How to do your own laundry and dishes and how to cook. And,
Sixth grade at Riverview Middle School. That was a mandatory class.
Yep.
I got a full quarter of that, and then a semester of computers, and then a quarter of dance where I had to learn how to waltz and square dance.
Aw.
See, now it's like fucking kids can't even write a check.
Yeah. Oh, dude, I
They can
because
shop
that's
online
part of-
though.
That's part of where I work is people writing us checks. That's an essential part of what we do. I'm constantly having to like I have people now. It's a policy where we actually are supposed to offer for people to just sign the check and we will fill it out for them.
Yep. It's sad.
Because they don't know how to write a check anymore. And while, yes, checks are a dying thing, it's still an important thing. And it's not like businesses don't use checks all the time between each other.
Exactly.
Right.
So what I just really? Like, really? Or like I'll give somebody change and they'll stare at me because they couldn't do the numbers fast enough
Yeah.
It's
to
crazy.
figure out what. Like, really, your bill was $18.57 and you gave me $20 and you can't figure out how much change you should get back
$1.43.
from that?
Yeah.
Yeah, like, are you kidding me? Like, really?
Well, that's how dumbed down the education system's gotten. Like, it's on purpose.
Well, not only
Oh,
that,
yeah.
but it also it shows a huge reliant on artificial means. Debit cards,
Yep.
calculators,
PayPal, yeah.
PayPal.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yep.
Oh, yeah, and we're cash only. So when people show up and they're like, oh, can you guys take a card? Nope.
Nope.
What do you mean you can't take a card? I mean, I can't take a card. We're cash only. What do you want?
Yeah.
I ain't
Yeah, people
changing
get
the rules
fucked up
for you.
by that. They're like, whoa, wait, I got to go to an ATM now, and then I got to figure out how much I got to take out.
Yeah. Like, not my problem, man. I don't
Yeah.
know what you want me to tell you. It's
Yep.
sorry. And we had when I ran the front gates from Mississippi Mayhem, for 4 hours I volunteered during the busiest 4 hours that they had, because there was only one person that was going to be on there during the busiest time, and there was no way that was going to work when we have attendance of like 10,000 plus.
Wow.
But I would have people walk up like with credit cards and debit cards and then find out, no, it's cash only. And I'm like, dude, we're literally sitting in a tent here at the entrance. Like,
Right.
by what means are we going to process your credit card payment?
Well,
Yeah,
with
I
a
don't-
Square card reader, I mean, a lot of people use Square card readers now
Yeah,
with tablets
so-
or.
Yeah,
cell
but we didn't
phones
even
or
have
whatever.
electricity out there. Like,
Oh, yeah.
there's not even electricity. Like, what do you want me to do? I'm in a tent at a picnic table. What
Right.
what do you want
Alright.
me to do?
All right, since we're on the subject of money, this 24-year-old has raised more than $600,000 for charity by asking for beer money on national TV.
Yep.
I watch College Game Day. I'm a huge fan of the show Saturday mornings before the games come on, and I saw the sign. So that's just kind of cool. But it says this is the best kind of beer buzz. Carson King, 24, held up a sign on national TV during a University of Iowa versus Iowa State football game last weekend. That's not true. It was actually during College Game Day, which was at Iowa State, asking for viewers to Venmo him cash for a case of Busch Light. He and his, quote, Busch Light supply needs replenishment sign got picked up by ESPN's College Game Day broadcast on Saturday morning and raised $400,000 or $4,000 in just an hour. Quote, I made the sign as a joke and just hoped that maybe a couple of people in the crowd would see it and maybe toss me $20 so I could get a case of Busch Light. King, an Iowa State fan, told Market Watch. But after raking in $600, King and his family decided to donate the windfall to the rival University of Iowa Stead Families Christian Hospital, which is adjacent to the football field in Iowa City. In fact, during Iowa football games, fans do the Iowa way for the kids watching the game from the hospital windows.
Yeah, you can totally. I've been there, and you can
Yeah.
totally see into you can see the stadium from that hospital very,
Yeah.
very clearly. You can see in the windows, and they'll all watch and stuff. And like they do when it nears Halloween, they do like a big Halloween thing where everybody dresses up in costumes for the kids that are up in the windows and stuff. It's really cool.
I support that more than PewDiePie almost donating $50,000 to the ADL.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. King's mom and brother shared his fundraiser and the Venmo handle on Twitter, and that's when the donations really started pouring in. As of Friday morning, so this was last Saturday, and as of Friday morning, people had donated more than $200,000 to the fund. And if Brewer, Anheuser-Busch, and PayPal-owned Venmo both matches donations as they have pledged to do on Twitter, the Busch Light lover will be handing over more than $600,000 to the hospital, minus the cost of the case of Busch Light. He cracked to Market Watch, which runs $15 or $16. Individuals have donated as little as 25 cents and up to as much as $300.
Wow.
Quote, it turned into something really cool and a way to help families and to help the kids, said King, who has taken a break from his studies to work as a casino security officer and pay down some of his student loans. Quote, it's getting shared around the country, and we got people from Canada and Australia donating. I actually got a message from somebody in Poland on Facebook today saying how great the story was. So this is a kid, 24-year-old kid, with college student loans, and he's donating the money. rather
He's
than
donating all of the money to a charity hospital
Yep.
that primarily
I'd be-
deals with kids. I
I'd be
mean,
tempted to pay down my student loans a little bit with some of it, and then
Oh.
that's still a big ass donation for the kids.
Yep.
So,
yeah. That's, either way, it's so cool. It's so cool that
Yeah.
that's at 24.
I wouldn't even be mad at him if he paid off his student loans and then donated the rest.
Yeah.
That would be a smart thing to do. So
That is just amazing, though. I mean, at 24 years old, he's a college kid. He's, and he's just joking around. And immediately when it starts to be a lot of money, he goes, I can't keep this. Like, this has got to go to something.
At like $600, he said that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, no, this should go to
One
something.
millennial gives me hope.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a little bit of hope there. And not only that, but remember, it's the rival school that runs that hospital.
The rival in-state school, yeah.
It's between those two, there's a hell of a rivalry too, man. Like, I used to live right on the border of Wisconsin, Iowa, and Illinois, and
it was a good game.
Iowa. Was it? Yeah, They usually are. Those games are usually pretty good.
That is admirable, though. Without a doubt.
Before bread and circuses, you jerks.
And he raised over $200,000 on his own, and then Anheuser-Busch and Venmo both retweeted his original tweets that he would donate it, and they both said that they would match his funds. So his 200 plus their 200 plus 200, it's over $600,000.
Jeez.
Just because of a sign at a college football pregame.
Yeah.
But what would happen for all the poor people in the charities if we didn't have government?
Yeah.
I still think he should pay off his student debt and then donate the rest. His student loans.
He can't now. He already said he was going to donate it.
Yeah, I know.
Once he said that, he's kind of committed. You can't be like, well, you know how he said that. Well, although I still do think, I'm glad that he's at least, hopefully he was serious that he is going to subtract the cost of the Busch Light to what it was originally for, or that Anheuser-Busch just
that's what it says.
A couple of cases, like
the original tweet that he was going to donate came on September 17th at 9:40 a.m. He said, with all my donations, my college game day sign for Busch Beer has received. I'll be donating all but enough for a case of Busch Light to the Children's Hospital. We're at over $1,600 right now. So it's $1,600 he promised to hand it over. That was the tweet. So, and now he's raised over $200.
I wonder if he's kicking himself now that it's enough to fucking really help him out in his life and still donate a bunch.
Yeah.
He's probably kicking his own ass at this point.
I doubt that it would have gone as viral as it did if he hadn't said, I'm going to donate this money. And and suddenly it became this one, if you contribute, you get to be part of this cool story and things. And it's the same thing, the cult of internet personality with the guy who started with the red paper clip, right? The guy who started with the red paper clip and then
traded up to like a car or something like that, right?
Yeah, he wound up he traded for a house. That was his end game. Was a house, and he actually managed to do it. He traded the red paper clip for something like for a pen, and traded and then wound up with a car, and then traded the car for a boat, and then traded the boat for something, and then traded that for a house. Yeah. Because it became such a big viral thing. It was kind of the earlier days of the internet for all you youngins out there, but it was a big deal, that whole thing, because everyone started making him offers that they wouldn't have otherwise made because it was because they wanted to be personality. And it's the same thing here where he says, I'm going to donate, and now everyone's like, well, I want to be part of this because this is just a cool story and this is going to be great. And so it winds up raising enormous amounts of money, more than $500,000. That's huge.
On a whim, absolutely on a whim.
Yeah, it's not like he went on did a drive or anything, or started calling game day and saying, "Hey, I really want to beg for Busch Light on your show." He just happened to be in the crowd in the right place, holding up the right sign at the right moment, and boom.
Yep. So.
Well, if anybody wants to donate me my money, my car shit the bed on the way to fucking Washington, so I had to fly out.
Or if you want to donate any money to me for beer, I would happily take that.
Like 600
Also,
grand.
600 grand worth of beer would get me set for a while, I think.
For a little while, like a week, right?
Yeah, no, if I drink 600 grand worth of beer in a week.
Oh, let's face it.
I'm
If you get 600 grand, you're spending like $1,000 on beer and like 590 on firearms.
Yeah, that sounds more likely. At that point, I'm hitting up James D. Julia and Morphe auctions, and I'm buying me a Fallschirm Jaeger 42. Like, I'm getting an FG 42. Get the hell out of my way. It's happening now.
An original Golden Boy.
Yeah. Well, I'm picking up like at that point now. I got a list. I
Thompson.
got a list of classic. Yeah, Thompson. All three Thompsons. So the 1919, the 1921, four, 1928, and the 1928 A1, which is actually the M1A1.
Yeah. Pew pew pew.
Yeah, which is actually the worst one. The military version was the worst, which I realize shocks everybody.
That's because mil-spec is not as good as people think it is.
Well, in that case, it was still great, but it was that they had lowered the fire rate too much to try and conserve ammunition, because part of what makes the original 1919 Thompson so controllable, and anyone who tells you, if you ever talk to a guy who's a World War II vet or anything, and he says they were uncontrollable when you fired them and they just climbed to the sky, that man never once fired a Thompson. Because they are really, really heavy guns. And when you shoot in full auto, that barrel jumps around, but it doesn't climb. It is a rock solid firing weapon, especially with the cuts compensator on, which the 1919 has. But the original fires at like 2,000 rounds a minute. Like, it's insane how fast the original fires. And so when you let go with it, it just kind of pushes, and you can just push back. But when you lower that fire rate, which they did for the issued versions for the military, all of a sudden it's bounce, 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 bounce.
Who got Andrew started? Save it for Weapons Wednesdays.
That's
Whoever
what
got Andrew started
I was just thinking that. I mentioned it, and yeah.
Yeah, no, don't get me started
for whoever's.
So
yeah,
but yeah, check out my show, Anarchist Weapons Wednesdays.
So all right, we got one more article. I don't know. It's gonna be quick, I guess. Michigan brothers push back against town's retaliation in Christmas tree farm fight. This is an ongoing one. It's one I've heard for a while. But when your favorite tool is a hammer, every project looks like a nail, and apparently a similar rule holds true for local government. Well, no shit, Sherlock. Okay, when said government's favorite tool to get its way is threatening residents with ruinous, unconstitutional fines, its response to every problem is to threaten them with even larger, more ruinous, and more unconstitutional fines. It's time that the court puts a stop to it. 2 years ago, brothers Gary and Matt Percy removed scrub brush from their property in order to plant Christmas trees for a Christmas tree farm. The township of Canton, Michigan, decided to fine the brothers almost $500,000, more than the property is worth, for removing, quote, trees defined as anything with a 3-inch wooden stem without a permit. The brothers fought back by going to the local news media and eventually filing a civil rights lawsuit arguing that Canton's tree ordinance is unconstitutional. Canton responded with increasing aggressive acts of harassment against the Percy brothers. Shortly after the Percys went to the media, Canton began sending threatening emails chastising them for talking to reporters. Canton also
respect my authority.
Yeah, Canton also called in several frivolous complaints against the Percy's business, AD Transport Express, with state and county agencies, all of which were dismissed. When that failed, Canton began sending local law enforcement officers to AD Transport, which had operated safely there for 25 years, to search for potential code violations. Such blatant retaliation for the exercise of civil rights violates the First Amendment, so the Percy brothers filed a separate federal civil rights lawsuit to stop the ongoing harassment in hopes that they could operate their business in peace while they litigate the tree ordinance claims.
Yeah, 2 or 3 inches?
3 inches, yeah. As penalty,
that's defined as a tree.
Yeah. Canton responded to Percy's retaliation lawsuit by filing a counterclaim of their not having certificates of occupancy on 4 buildings, which AD Transport had used to operate its business for more than 2 decades. As a penalty for this obvious and extreme assault on the health and safety of the people of Michigan, Canton is seeking $500 in fines per building per day for the past 2 decades. The fine amounts to more than $16 million.
Yeah. Obviously, this is just a local government. It's like in one of those fucking defensive postures that wild animals take. It's showing you how big it can fucking be and how small you are. That's all this is about. Nobody in that entire government, in that entire local government, none of them think this is reasonable. They are just flexing their fucking muscles.
Yeah, they're doing it because it's a respect my authority. It's the
Yep.
I told you no, and you did it anyway, and then you got mad because I wasn't even supposed to tell you no, and then you went to the media, so I got exposed. How dare you make me look like an idiot? So now I'm going to do this and this and this, and then when all of their code violations, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like this is a town council made up entirely of Karens.
Yep.
No offense to the Karens that we know necessarily, but you know the Karen haircut that let me speak to your manager. It's a town council. It's nothing but them. Where how dare you decide that you don't have to listen to me, and then have a court tell you initially that you don't have to listen to me? No. And then they started calling in everything they could, and then when none of it came to anything because they weren't doing anything that violated anything. Now they're like, okay, well, we need to come up with something to try and get rid of these people because otherwise we're going to be stuck with them being there.
Yep.
And we don't want that.
Right.
Well, they could have just lived, loved, and laughed if they just listened.
Yeah. I mean, this is the same sort of BS that led to Killdozer.
Yeah, exactly.
The same sort of BS that led to that guy in Michigan with a giant light up middle finger.
Yep.
Exactly.
No?
And that's the thing is, I mean, and look at how frivolously it even began. Like 3 inches automatically constitutes a tree. Do you know how much?
A permit, like
Yeah.
a piece of paper.
Yeah.
To clear scrub brush on your own land.
Yeah.
Yep.
To clear scrub on your own. It's not even, and they're planning on planting a whole bunch of trees.
Yeah.
That almost all of which will have a greater than 3-inch diameter, unless it's
Right.
And they will all be big, and they will contribute to oxygen,
The local economy,
and carbon, and economy, and providing
It'll fight
jobs.
climate change.
Yep. And they'll do so.
Yeah.
And they'll do so every single year.
Yeah. And this is what the city council wants to destroy simply because they didn't pay them their blood money first.
right?
I mean, it's ridiculous. And people wonder why black market, like underground businesses happen. It's because of this. You know,
I can't
it's
imagine
like in
why.
Lacrosse, here in Lacrosse, if you want to build a fence at all, you have to not only get a building permit, but you then have to tell them exactly what height the fence is going to be, what materials you are going to use, and you have to have a 6-foot deep anchors.
That's like a citywide HOA, essentially.
Yeah. And that's to build any fence. And it's a $200 permit to get going and to get all of the inspections and everything else. Our next door neighbor here was planning on building a fence, and he was like, if I go through the city and do it the legal way, according to all the ordinances, building the fence is going to cost me $21,000 for a white vinyl 6-foot high fence.
Wow.
Right.
On his land.
On his own property. And he's like, or I can just build the fence and it's a $250 fine.
How about that American dream with the white picket fence, huh?
Yeah.
Do you have a
Except that white
permit
picket-
for that
Yeah.
fence?
Do you have a permit to build that white picket fence?
Oh my goodness.
I mean, it's ridiculous. And like
It
they have
is, dude.
specifications on it. Like, oh, if it's over 6 feet tall, then anything above that has to be lattice work.
Mhm.
And
That's
there has to
retarded.
be gaps of X amount unless you declare it as a privacy fence, in which case the specifications change, but now it's a completely different permit.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still
Fucking
got to get
absurd.
inspected before, during, and after by the city and blah. To put a fence on your own property.
It's the epitome
It's
of the nanny
retarded.
state, man.
So
Yeah.
much.
Well, like George Carlin said,
Freedom.
it's called the American dream because you got to be asleep to believe it.
Mhm.
Yeah, exactly. And it's
I actually saw that today. I actually saw that line today. I was talking to somebody about the vaping thing in New York,
Yep.
where with the swipe of a pen, he Kumo killed or outlawed like flavored
7,000.
flavored vaping tobacco for like 90 days or something like that, so they can research it,
Yeah.
whatever. Blah blah.
What a
It's gonna
cocksucker.
put 7,000 businesses out of.
He doesn't give a fuck, dude.
businesses out.
7,000
He likes to
businesses.
flex his muzzle for like any fucking reason whatsoever. That's why the fucking.
How do you
state-
ban something for 90 days? Do you expect any of those businesses to be able to pay their leases or their employees for 90
Well-
days without any fucking revenue coming in?
And the stupid thing is it's only the flavored ones, right?
It's only flavored ones. Yeah.
So if they're unflavored or they taste like tobacco, they're exempt. And here's the thing: is the flavorings within vape juices are, and I'm going to be doing a video actually with the guy who manages our local vape shop. We're actually going to do a very long, in-depth video on vaping, on what's in it, on the business and how it all works, and the ban and everything else. But and that's upcoming for sure. But the gist of it is that all of those flavorings in vapes, for the most part, in legitimate, reputable vapes, I should specify, not in black market THC cartridges, which is what's making everybody sick because people don't chemistry. Newsflash: you can't inhale coconut oil. Bad. But just because it's natural. But all of the flavorings that are in that are completely like they're food flavorings. They're stuff that's used in food
they're
all the time.
FDA regulated and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
all
like
he
it's
did,
like extracts, right?
yeah, it's not actually a lot of it's artificial chemicals. Like and the one that everyone's like all worried about is diacetyl, which is not in too many vapes. And diacetyl exposure, you have to be exposed to enormous amounts of it. You're actually exposed to more of it in cigarettes than you ever are in vaping. But all
Yeah, but
Cuomo
big
did
big
here-
tobacco fucking lobbies the shit out of the fucking government.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
because you know what always gets exempted? You know what always gets exempted is tobacco flavored juices. And when it comes to the vape mods and stuff, it's the Juuls, which is a big tobacco company, vape company.
Yeah.
And now the FDA just approved, was it Philip Morris? Just approved another vape product from
Yeah.
Philip Morris and said that it was okay while they're talking about banning it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Because Big Tobacco is lobbying for it, because Big Tobacco is terrified that all of a sudden vaping might actually basically end smoking.
Yep.
Because
It's going
everybody's
to cut into
moving-
their profit margin.
Yeah, and so they're like, oh, shit, we can't possibly compete because there are 100,000 companies that have been in this market space way longer than any of us.
Yep.
And have loyal followings, and they're profitable, and they're technologically advanced. And
That's why like companies like Philip Morris and RJ Reynolds and all them are trying to get into the cannabis industry.
Yeah, because they know that once between vaping and the legalization of cannabis happens, their products are irrelevant. No one will buy them anymore. And so what other choice do they have but to try and do what they've always done, which is wield government as a bludgeon?
Yep.
Let's see,
And-
last year,
Monopolize the market like they always do.
last year, tobacco lobbyists spent $23,426,000 lobbying.
Wow.
Yep.
That's nothing in
Billions.
comparison to like the medical industry though.
Oh no,
Very less.
that's billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And think about how ridiculous it is too, the fact that like I met a guy a few years ago who had his own tobacco company for a while. He'd actually founded a cigarette company. It
Last
was-
year, yeah. Last year, Juul spent $1,640,000 lobbying.
It's
Philip-
not surprising.
Philip Morris spent $6,230,000.
Hey guys, I
Wow.
gotta get going soon. I gotta
Yeah.
get
Yeah, me
my
too.
kids to bed.
Yeah, we can go
So-
off
Yeah,
on
wait,
this.
what-
This is another one of
Yeah,
those
no, I was
tangents.
just gonna say what he told me is that with the tobacco, for the most part, when you run a tobacco company, 99.9% of all the money that you bring in goes to taxes. Like you're just a
Wow.
tax collector. So think about how much money these guys are already making in order for them to primarily send everything to the government and still be able to lobby to
Yeah.
the government to the tune of
Yeah.
millions of freaking
So-
dollars.
Yeah, it's insane.
Yep. So, yeah, we go off on that all day long. So, on that note, though, go buy Derica's book. The
Yep.
link will be in the description.
And if you're in the
I have it
CBD
here.
market, yep, that's my book.
Mhm.
And then also the CBD link, Jason, you still have that to put in?
I can find it. I'm pretty sure I have it somewhere.
All right. Yeah. So if you're in the
I
market
can
for
find it.
CBD products, I sell
Mhm.
those too. Jason's got the link for that. He'll put that in
Yep,
there.
it'll be in the description also.
Yep.
Just don't inhale the
And,
coconut oil.
Yeah, stay away from anything with coconut oil. Bad.
No, what's really
bad.
cool, this company, it's really cool. They have an isolate, a CBD isolate that's 0 THC,
Mhm.
and it is so pure that it's clear.
Yep.
Absolutely clear. And then they also do soft gels. If you hate the taste of CBD, but you want to keep benefiting from it, this company sells like soft gels, so you can get a super exact dose and you don't have to fucking taste it. So they have all kinds of neat stuff.
Sweet.
Yeah, and go buy Ben Stone's new book, Anarchist to Abolitionist: A Bad Quaker's Journey. I am laughing my ass off at some of Ben's antics when he was younger. Like Ben's very first fist fight. Like he was born at home and like didn't have vaccinations, and in order to go to school you had to go and get vaccinated. So his grandmother told him, "Oh, it'll be fine. We'll just go to the doctor. He'll give you a shot. It'll be fine. It won't hurt." So he goes into the doctor's office, and while the doctor is doing his equipment, he's like, "Yeah, sure, it'll be fine. It won't hurt." And then he jabbed him with the needle, and Ben said he socked the doctor. And then the doctor called in 2 nurses, and he punched those 2 nurses. And he said, the first time he punched an adult, it wasn't just one; it was 3 adults. So his first fight ever was against the state
Yeah.
at 4 years old. So
Nice.
Yeah, his book is awesome, and every quote that you post on it is always an excellent quote. So the book's very high quality. I have no doubt. I'm gonna have to pick it up.
Yeah.
it's on paperback, and it's also on Kindle on Amazon.
Excellent.
And I will also link that in the description.
Nice.
So, yeah. On that note, you guys have anything else?
Nope.
Oh, good.
Watch
I'm
my
tired of talking.
show.
Yeah, go watch the show. Anarchist Weapons Wednesday. Since Andrew doesn't do it, I've started putting it up on the Anchor feed, so it's out on all the podcatchers now.
Oh,
So,
I'm
yeah.
going to be starting doing videos for the Facebook page, Today's Government Screw Up. So if you don't follow that
Yay!
page yet, go
More
ahead
Jericho
and
videos.
yeah,
Yep. So we're
Um,
branching out.
yeah. They're
It's
just
gonna be-
going to be really short, like 4 or 5 minute, just discussing one way that government really fucked up each day.
Only 5 minutes?
5 days a week.
You can
5
have
days
like
a week.
fucking 24-hour content.
I
on that
know.
shit.
I got to keep it brief, guys. I got
How
other
would-
shit to do.
How do you choose? It's you just
Yeah.
like put it all on a dartboard and just throw the dart. Like, okay, that
Yeah.
one.
You can pick it out of
So
a hat.
hey, you guys have me on Telegram. You find them, send them over to me. So
For sure.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And again,
Any
definitely.
links?
Like, oh, just hey, Jason, you got a link? Okay, here's 7.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
I know. You're my link guy.
Yeah. So you guys need to subscribe to us, subscribe to Derica, subscribe to me. Make sure you're checking all that stuff out. And if it's on YouTube, make sure you hit that cool little bell icon so that you get notified when new videos go up.
Yep.
Yeah.
So you
pray-
don't miss anything.
And
Follow
pray
us on
Dan
Facebook.
doesn't get eaten by Bigfoot.
Yeah.
You'll never know though because I'm deactivated from Facebook. So
Well,
But Molly isn't. I'm sure she'd put something up there.
she,
Oh, I'm
she-
sure.
You would assume that she would say something about like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
by the way, Dan got eaten by Sasquatch.
Raped.
Well,
Yeah.
I talked to Bigfoot, so I know. So
He wouldn't eat me. He just raped me. It's all good.
So
that's what he was
Bigfoot
squeezing
is
into that gimp
Jonathan
suit
June.
for.
That's right. I'm out in the
Jonathan-
backyard fucking
Jonathan
waiting for
June
him.
is Bigfoot. Bigfoot is Jonathan June.
That's right.
Yeah.
The ass of my gimp suit is unzipped as we speak.
With this rape hammer.
The one that you were putting on earlier.
We are all Bigfoot now.
Yes.
Je suis, but I don't know how to say
Dan-
Bigfoot.
Dan sits in the front seat on the 165.
Wait, why is Bigfoot wearing a ski mask and carrying a hammer?
Yeah. It's Ski Mask Johnny.
Did Bigfoot just tell me I had a pretty mouth? What's happening?
All right, we'll catch you for the next
All right.
episode.
Peace.
And peace.